What's it, my people? You know it is a Don Tony Teflon. Fill the issues, guys. Escaping from podcast, episode 6,
Oof.
season 2. Now we've heard a lot of things, Phil, about this episode from day one. Everyone who has come on this show, every actor, and they have all said, "Wait till episode 6. Wait till episode." I know a lot of people out there were always like, "We're not getting the answers we want. These people aren't talking to each other." Episode 6 happens. Are those people good? Are those people happy? Are they happy that they finally gotten some answers and stuff? So we're going to get right into it and talk about it. But Phil, what's good with you and how do you feel about all those things I just said?
I'm feeling really good. I just want some more worms. We gotta figure out a way to weaponize these worms, Tony. We need to do this. Smiley's apparently gone, but we'll talk all about that, whether we think what's gonna happen with Smiley. I thought this episode lived up to the expectations, which is a hard thing to do when everyone's sort of hyping it up before it happens. I think in retrospect, even though I enjoyed the last couple of episodes, it makes the last couple of episodes better because the Boyd and Kenny dynamic in this episode was so strong and you get the payoff for a lot of things. I thought the action in this episode was top notch. Tony shot really well. It was good to see Knight again. I thought some of the acting performances, specifically by Donna, Boyd, and Kenny, just knocked it out of the ballpark. I know I'm giving my whole review right now, Tony, at the intro, but to answer your question, yes, I thought this episode lived up to the hype. I really enjoyed this episode of television.
Could have been the best episode of both seasons.
I agree. This might be the best episode of From altogether. This gives you a feeling of what this series could be leading up to be. At least this is how I felt. And I'm really excited. I thought it was a good cliffhanger. We got some answers, new questions, and I didn't even care about answers because it was just so interesting and awesome what was going on. I believed some of the stakes. I thought you were about to be right. I thought we're gonna come out and Ellis was going to be gone, Tony.
It looked like it. I mean, we're going to get, but it looked like Ellis was gone. Let's say what up to some people in the chat. What up to the lady from the Lady Don podcast, Ella Mar? She's in the building rocking with us. Joshua is up in here rocking with us right now. Luna Cascade is in the building rocking with us right now. Carla Way is up in here all the way from the land down under. CB Brand is up in here. Smart. What is it? Smart curator. Well, I don't know. Smart. What's the
smart art? I'm gonna just say smart. I'm gonna smart curl art. Smart curl art.
Smart dude is here. KP is in the building up in here. I see him up in here. Keenan Lampert's in here. Tim, I see you up in here. Senna East 87 is up in here. Kimberly is up in here. Pedro is in the building rocking with us right now. My brother from another mother, Muhammad, is in here rocking with us right now. We have a bunch of people here. Thank you all for coming. We truly appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up for your boys up in here. We're going to break down this episode. We're going to go into theories. We're going to do all that stuff. We're going to praise the Don for being right. We're going to do everything.
And we're gonna dig into me maybe being wrong, but one thing I want to talk about, I saw some people throwing this in the live chat, but I have to put special mention. There was a lot of really great scenes in this episode. The way that the scene in the back of the van was shot, they decided to do it with this handheld camera, and the way they were like shifting it around. I saw someone in one of your comment sections say it reminded of like intro Last of Us kind of stuff, or whatever it was. It really worked. It was shot really good. And I thought the performance by Ellis in particular was really strong in like seeing the fear in his eye as he was starting to choke. And you felt the tension of that scene. And I think the camera angles really helped Tony. We don't talk about that stuff that often, but the cinematography in that scene was sick.
It really was. So I think that people are referring it to the Last of Us scene when Joel is escaping in the pickup truck, right? On that,
you know that better than I do. So
they shot that actually the same exact way that it was shown in the video game, basically, right? So the way that these guys shot it, they were giving you, first they gave you over the shoulder of Elgin driving like almost a first person's perspective.
Yeah.
From that, and it looked like you were looking through Elgin's eyes a lot of the time when you seen everything that was going on in the back of Fatima, and doing a nice 360 degrees in the way that they had the tree branches hitting the window and everything else.
It was so cool.
And everything else. It was really shot amazingly. We gotta give props to the director. and the cinematographer for going out there and putting that shot in there and shooting it that way. It was just an amazing shot, amazing. It led to the tension. It really made you feel like you were inside. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. Thank
Yeah.
you for the super chat, bro. Truly appreciate
Well said,
it.
Tony.
Let me see if I can highlight real quick.
Peter Griffin says it's true. It felt like Fatima's POV. It definitely did. And Tony's absolutely right. Is getting that comment. You just felt the tension building up as they were trying to get to the doctors in time. I almost didn't think at times. And usually when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, he's gonna make it. I was like, oh, Ellis isn't gonna make it. But then I thought back to something else that we saw earlier, Tony, and we'll break this apart later. But did Elgin know he could make it to the van because he already had future visions of them hanging out somewhere else? So he's like, we make it through this. So I know I can do this. Was there a little Bill and Ted there with Elgin?
It could have been because he's just like meet me by the steps.
He just had this look on his face, like he's like, I can do this. It was just an interesting. I don't know. It might just be nothing. It might just be him being like a brave, awesome dude in the moment and thinking. But I felt like they focused on it a little bit, where he just kind of got this look, Tony, like, just like he thought to something he saw. Well, I see those two together later. I can do this. I can save them. And he just ran out. There was something hinky going on there. I don't know if you
no doubt about it. Again, if you want, please send super chats to the Cash App $ Tony Teflon 545. Truly appreciate it if you send it there because YouTube takes a huge over 40% chunk of all super chats. If you can't, then do it the way you can do. Also, call in 781-990-8509. If you're overseas, use the issuesguy@gmail.com. We want to hear from you and know exactly what you thought of the episode and everything that you want and anything you want to tell us. We'd love to hear your voice. So make sure you do that. It's on the bottom on the curl if you don't on the screen if you need it and everything else. But Elgin did seem like something else was going on there.
And I want to
confident.
I want to point out what a lot of people in the chat have said, and I didn't get a chance to watch your video. You might have said it too, that Elgin is most likely or almost positive is responsible for the food. Like Dale was right, even though Dale was an idiot and he ended up stabbing Ellis. Elgin was stealing food for Sarah. He was absolutely stealing, and that could have been the look. The look could have been, I'm responsible for all of this. I need to handle this. So that could have been as simple as that, as some people in the live.
I agree that I was going to talk about that when you got there. But yeah, that's what he's doing. He was jacking food for his girlfriend. Emily Siegel said, thank you for the super chat. So I'm not saying anything unless you ask, but I may have seen the next episode.
Ooh, Emily,
how did you pull that off?
But, but you can message Tony and I get issues. I mean, the issues guy at gmail.com with the link.
Mika Lee says, thank you for the super chat, says, great freaking episode, huh, guys? I love you and Phil. Thank you so much. We love you both. We love you also.
So yeah, we're bouncing around a lot. We'll break this episode point by point, but we do have a couple of voicemails. We got a voicemail from our favorite friend, Voice of 916. I'll save for a little bit later in the evening. And we just got a voice from area code 868.
What's happening? This episode is kind of insane, but I enjoyed it. I don't know if it was the best episode ever, but I did enjoy it. So, question: how do you guys think these worms or whatever the fuck they are going to be weaponized to fight back against those motherfucking monster ass bitches? Secondly,
so we'll pause there and we'll get to the second point. How can we weaponize this? And we'll talk about this when we break it down. But
yeah, I think I don't know if he has any more worms.
Right? Do they have any more worms? Can they harvest? Is it not gonna? Are they still gonna be in Smiley? And then Christy can, when she potentially does an autopsy or breaks that thing apart, she can take that out. Is Smiley? I know some people have thrown this out here, and we're going to talk about this later, but I'm going to put it out there. Does Smiley revert to human form, or is Smiley dead? Some people think he's going to wake up. I've heard this theory bat around. I don't particularly think this is going to happen, but that he's going to wake up in the town or the next morning and be a human again.
Right. Let's just go through the recap That way we can get to the theories. We'll be here. No one has to work tomorrow, so we're up with y'all.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Should we just get to this breakdown, and we'll get to the rest of your message, KP, in a little bit. But
yeah, let's get to the recap.
Okay, so Tony, as usual, this is the recap for season 2, episode 6. Thank you to everyone that's also been listening to the audio podcast. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out our bonus episode with Scott McCord. I know we're getting everyone checking out week to week, but I think we also have a bonus episode with Scott, so make sure you check that out. Anyways, so we open up the moment between episodes, Tony, where we start off I thought this right from the beginning, this was a really good choice. They end it in this really cool point with the song in the last episode with "We gotta talk" or whatever he says, and then they start this episode where I don't know where to begin. And Boyd explains his mindset for Sarah and why he kept her alive, but he wants her to know that it's not okay what he did. He knows what it's like when this place takes someone he loves. He basically pleads with her. Things are changing. I need to do what I can to get everyone home, even if it means Sarah's staying alive. And I don't know about you. Do you think Kenny's mom gets it? It seems like she's starting to understand, right?
I think she does. I think because I think what you're seeing here, and no pun intended when I say this, is the yin and yang between her and Kenny, and how Kenny overreacts to situation, and how she is more thoughtful about situations. Again, also, I do think she's the mole, so I think she has to play it like that too. You know what I mean? So but that is the way it came across. He pleaded his case. She was very sitting there listening to everything, and then Gangster Kenny comes up.
Yep. Dun dun dun.
And Gangster Kenny has made an appearance a few times this episode, and then tries to talk his way out of his gangsterness, right? Out of his gangsterness. You know what I mean? It's like CB4. You know what I mean? I'm 4 generations deep in gangsterdom. And that's the way it seemed like Kenny. Kenny acted like he was 4 generations deep in gangsterdom. You know what I mean? This whole episode.
I love how Boyd calls him out on it a couple times in the episode when he goes to leave the room later in the episode. Kenny's like, you're not allowed to leave. He's like, move out of my way. He's like, Kenny, what are you doing?
Yeah, dude. You think it's going?
What are you gonna shoot me? And then later are you gonna shoot me in front of Chrissy and Fatima right now? You're really gonna shoot me? Like, no.
Yeah, come on, son. Who do you think he played?
But this was a really good episode. I love how Kenny did step up, and unlike some other shows that might drag this shit on, there was a couple things that happened in this episode that I loved. They didn't waste any time, and we'll get this scene in a second, dealing with Mary Ellen stealing the drugs, and they didn't waste any time with Kenny sort of harboring this grudge for too long. He's always going to think about this, but I like where they resolve Kenny's story at the end of this episode. And also him not believing Boyd and everything associated with his father. I don't want to get too serious because we like to have fun here, but having dealt with a mother that went through similar stuff as Kenny's father dealt with, like, I can understand where he's getting post-traumatic stuff going on right there, and why at first he'd be like, worms under his skin. That sounds like, even in this place, like, it made sense in this world, and where they get to him at the end of this being like, Boyd, I never should have doubted you, and on his side with everything.
He doesn't say that though. That's the whole thing about it. He doesn't say I know. He said we should have never doubted you. And when it was you, that was the one who doubted him.
It's true. That's true.
It was you. You should have owned up to it. He could even own up to it. He said, we should have never doubted you. Motherfucker, it was you. We doubted him.
It was Kenny, yeah. It was Kenny.
Motherfucker. You did that shit.
He's talking about the royal.
Sit down, Boyd. You sit down right now and give up that blood oxygen. And that's what, we're jumping all over.
Yeah, we're jumping. This is an exciting episode. And
it is.
And we'll get into it. It's a little different than our normal thing. We no guests tonight, so Tony and I are just kind of having a fun reading the chat, going off you guys. But we'll get to that eventually in the episode. So Kenny does come in, as Tony said. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Like,
how are you to be here?
And his mother,
who do you think you are?
His mother tries to like set him straight. And he's just like, they argue for a second, and Boyd just leaves, but he doesn't. He apparently walks to where Sarah was supposed to be, and she's not there. We see the music box, and we see the ballerina. Tony, I'll talk about the scene in a second, but just in general, before we break this down, was the ballerina part of the torture, or is the ballerina trying to reach him to tell him how to weaponize these worms?
It's hard because obviously when you see her in the last thing, it seems like she was trying to give him
A hint.
a
Yeah.
hint of how to do it. You know what I mean? And to get his attention and everything, because he basically almost did everything that happened when it went down and stuff like that. You know, because she basically tried to smother him and everything else. But I thought the ballerina shot was a really good shot. I
Very.
thought it was shot really well because this is again a transitional scene that you don't know that's going on until he snaps out of it and he falls down inside. You really think he's left the diner and he's in that scene. These things can be played badly if done wrong.
Yep.
And these guys have done a great job directing these scenes and making it seem that it was making it seem that it was seamless. People say Bad Kenny shirt was whole wrinkled. This is what happens when you get some pants that fit you. You start acting gay. That's the way it is.
Emily, real close to there, very close to there. So he walks where Sarah was, and the ballerina's dancing. We see we see the music box, and we see a real ballerina dancing in front of him. I think they cast a real ballerina because she seemed very legit.
Yeah, definitely was.
Boyd walks towards her and she gets in his face, and she had some great facial expressions. She was also really good with the acting in this scene, and he dances with her and they make eye contact. And I was just humming to myself the Pink Floyd song, "Welcome to the Worms." And so it was and suddenly the worms like open up in her mouth and look at her mouth and look at him. And it's something straight out of like a Pink Floyd, The Wall movie, like a horrifying image, your nightmare fuel. And it was a really good jump scare, Tony. It got me.
It was, and I would say that it's again. We brought up The Last of Us. We'll bring it up again here. If you look at the cordyceps, the way they do it in The Last of Us, it looked like that to me.
Yeah,
it looked like that. The way it was coming out, it definitely looked like that. Maybe the people there shot this before that was shot. They didn't see it or anything else, but it definitely looked like that. But it was great.
It was
a great shot. Showing the evil inside from the beautiful ballerina dancing outside, but really there's an evilness inside that you can lurking underneath that beautiful exterior. Tony, and I think that it defines all the creatures and everything else that we see in this show.
100%. And I just want to jump on something that the shorty Jersey Princess said in the live chat. The ballerina was scary as fuck. It was scary in that clown way, in the where like the way she was moving, and there was a cloudiness about it, which to your point, Tony, is all of these monsters, and something that I want to like make mention of right now, because we're going to talk about it at the end with how they changed when Smiley apparently dies. Or I will say it because a couple people have said this in the live chat, and I'm repeating things just so they're out there. Some people are screaming Smiley's just a Trojan horse, that he's faking this just to get behind the walls. I don't know about that, but I will say that out loud. So
we'll see. He sends a super chat. Thank you so much. This episode was almost perfect, but I need those 3 ashy white kids. I miss them.
They'll be back. They'll be back.
They'll definitely be back, because the one girl keeps popping up on those kids. If you take a look, it's the same girl that's popping up all the time, holding hands with the guy and stuff and everything else. So they'll definitely be back from what I'm seeing. I can't see them not being up there and everything else.
Absolutely, especially when we get another Tabitha episode. So those dirty kids. So here we go. Let's continue. So they cut back to the diner, and Tony mentioned this a few minutes ago. I thought this was done really well. Sometimes shit like this can be done really poorly, where they make it sort of ridiculously obvious that you're in a dream sequence in the cutback. But I never thought for a second, I don't know about you, Tony, but I never thought for a second that he was in a dream right there. I thought he left the diner and was walking looking for Sarah. Like, they got me. They got me hook, line, and sinker, as Teddy KGB would say.
Yeah, they definitely got me here. And people are saying ghoul kid. If you look up on IMDb, they are classified as ghoulish children. It says ghoul. For one of them, they'll say the ghoulish children. Jason Nates had the super chat. I really hope Smiley isn't dead. He's my favorite creature. He's mine too. He's come on the show. If I knew he was dead, I would have had him on.
Yeah, we would have contacted Jamie.
You know what I mean? To have him come on here and talk about the episode. But we'll talk to him and we'll see what we can do with him. And so that we got to see if he's dead or not. We're not sure yet. We're going to get to all that though and deal with that. We got over 300 people here. Make sure you hit those thumbs up for your boy so this spreads out more and everything else. And thank you for coming to the #1 show, after show from on all in the whole world.
Nadia in the live chat, I think look at the episode title and description for next week's episode. I'm not going to ruin that here. You might get what you want. So then we cut back to the diner. He never left. And immediately this kind of breaks up Kenny's, as you put it, gangsterness. Kenny almost immediately sort of goes back into like I got to take care of Boyd, and he starts projecting like his emotions for his father. So yes, we do see Breaking Bad Kenny come back a few times in this episode, and he still might come back eventually because that stuff doesn't sleep. I could see him revisiting some of those feelings later when he's manipulated, but it's to his credit, being pissed at Boyd or not, it's like when your buddy that you're really pissed off like goes in the hospital, you're like, oh, I gotta help him, and he does go into like I care about you mode, and as Harold comes to, we've talked about this before. After you have surgery or after you have something like a procedure and you're trying to walk out of the hospital, you're like, I'm fine, and then you're just like, oh, I can't fucking do it. It kind of reminded me of that, Tony, with Boyd, and I think Harold played that really well. And then like the family members grabbed, oh, it's okay, you're gonna be fine.
It's hard when you look at the acting performances. You know, Harold can win every. You say for best actor every episode we gave him an award. Harold can win it every time,
pretty much.
But this, he was challenged in this. You know, he was challenged. There's a lot of people who got it this episode and did their thing for acting and stuff. They did a great job, but I've always played that part magnificently and everything else. And again, those things could be look terrible. You know what I mean? Look cheesy, and they did. It looked amazing.
Harold is to Constantine. Harold is Boyd, the main actor of the shows. We're calling him by his first name, but we're talking about Boyd, the sheriff in town. So they cut back to the diner and they've left, and great acting. Anyway, so then we get our intro. We're back in Colony House, and dick-ass Dale and Ellis are talking with supplies outside. Dale, God bless Elizabeth's husband there. Dale plays a dick so damn well. And Dale makes note of this lack of supplies, doesn't like that Donna is taking the potatoes out. Fatima shows up, and the vibe's off between them. It's been off for a while, and Dale can't help but taunt him. He's that dude. We all grew up around one of those dudes. Your relationship's bad. Fuck you.
Yeah. Dale's been there too long. You know, he's been there too long, and he's probably not been with no one since he's been there. Because in the first season, he was talking about pocket dimensions, and he says, I could teach you people something if you would listen to me. So it just shows you right then that nobody is listening to him from the beginning. Thank you, Drunk Bishop, for becoming a member. Again, if you want to be a member of Teflon TV, you get access to all sorts of great things, especially emojis of the cast. And the more members I get, the more emojis of the cast I will have. In fact, I'll have it by next episode. We'll have just about almost all the cast done.
I'm not even going to suggest putting a poll because I think it's going to be 95%, but does Dale deserve to go in the box? Yes.
I mean, listen, if you want to start talking that Sarah box shit, I mean, he's more responsible than Sarah. I think he would have to go. Yeah. I mean, but was it an accident or did he actually do it? We'll talk about
We'll talk about the scene, but it was an accident, but he's still he's trouble. So Fatima shows the vibe is off it's off with them. The other greatest actor in the show with a great acting job tonight in particular is Liz. And the thing I'm going to talk about Liz as we get into the end of the episode is she really got to show her range. She always plays the badass on the show, and she showed that she almost showed a Aunt May from like she would be a great Aunt May from Spider-Man. And that's what I learned at the end of this episode. She'd be amazing at that part. Because it was almost like a Aunt May Spider-Man conversation that she has with Ethan towards the end of the episode. But Donna has to spend the night for some reason at back in town. She's doing a supply run because she wants to bring all the supplies to Kenny's mom's house so they can hide how much actually is there. And she leaves the kids in charge, and she's like, it's gonna be fine. No one's gonna cause any problem. Just lock the doors. No parties or lots of parties. What could go wrong? And so that's all of that. We'll talk more about that in a second. So we go off to this other scene that not much to say here other than this was like Chrissy noticing the rehab stuff in Mary Ellen's bag. Then we go back and forth with where Mary Ellen lied and said she was going somewhere else, not to rehab. And they go back and forth, and Mary Ellen, and almost immediately Chrissy's like, goes to the medicine cabinet. She's like, I got to see what she stole. And then we get this conversation that when I was bad with stuff, I've been the other girl, Mary Ellen, in this moment. Oh, don't open it. You don't have to open it. I wouldn't steal anything. You really think I'd steal something? You think I'd steal something? Opens it up. Well, I stole some morphine, Tony. I'm sorry. Like,
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't worry about it.
Every time I see her, I hear this song in my head. Said they gonna take me to rehab, and I said no.
Yeah, no, Tony, no. No.
Like she definitely, that's the number one thing of crackheadish behavior, right? When you think I would do that? How dare you? Well, so me why I took a little bit.
Yeah. And then she turns it around and makes it Christy's fault. You don't just trust me. You gotta hide everything from your junkie. Yeah, you stole morphine. Of course I need to hide it from you.
Yeah, and listen, the art of a master manipulator is when they can switch these things and make it seem like you're in the wrong when they're in the wrong. And you could see that she basically tried to pull that trick with her and tried to play. Well, you gonna say you crackhead girlfriend? Yeah. You wouldn't do, you know what I mean? Come on, Shorty. When she came in there, she looked sus to me right off the back, and she didn't look like someone that Christy would date in this show. You know what I mean? The way she was looking in there and everything else, but. You know what I mean? She her crackheadish behavior that was on display, full display.
She had like Crackhead for Dummies, and she was quoting like the book, quote for quote, as somebody said in the live chat. Who was it? Mrs. T said it was Junkie Talk. She was like quoting Junkie Talk, point for point, beat for beat. And to Christy's credit, she didn't buy one damn second of it.
She heard it before. You could tell she'd been through this with this chick already, and she heard all that before. So she's like, I heard it all before. Come on. Yep. I know what you do. I'm going to check. And I'm going to check. And you go into my purse. Who are you to go in my purse?
Tony, I wouldn't steal from you. Don't look at my bag. Oh, that's not your stuff. I don't know how it got there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Like,
that's that when women or men,
people
cheating, someone's cheating, and they let me see your phone. Why you want to see my phone for?
You don't just look at my phone. You can look, and then people will do this one too. You can look at it if you want. You want to look at it? You want to look at it? You can look at it. No, you don't. Because I know you don't. Shit like that too. Like, it's on the playbook. And we see a lot of playbook stuff. And to your point, Tony, Christy isn't just used to it. This place has also weathered her and educated her. Everything she's seen here and gone through here, her relationship with Boyd and Kenny and Donna and some of the other people in town that are just like more put together, focused individuals. Like you could tell that she's just she's like, no, I don't have time for that. Do you see where we're at? You're saying this stuff here. And she also says something along the lines of you don't think it's funny or weird that you were going to rehab and you ended up here. Again, it could go to what Jim says later, that it's a stress test for Christy to bring her junkie girlfriend who was about to clean herself up.
She was about to get with Kenny.
Yep.
She was about to do it. She was about to commit to Kenny. And then they said, no, we can't have this. And let's throw insert girlfriend. Yep. It's like Truman Show. You know what I mean? Every time someone goes, insert girlfriend, cue girlfriend now. And I think that a lot of the people that are in that bus weren't there. They wanted her ass. And a lot of those people on that bus was just there. Thank you for someone who just became a member. I didn't see it, and we have a super chat.
It was Cheryl Washington.
Cheryl Washington, thank you. Welcome to the family. Here's a super chat from Rebel Eric, and he says, "Is it possible that the guy that was the guy that was chained up was a monster killer?" I don't think he was a monster killer. I don't think he was out there murdering monsters. Because when he talked about he got caught in the far away tree. So you would think he was trying to escape. You know what I mean? He was like, "Oh, I always thought the town was the worst part." He said, "But them far away trees, yeah, that's how they get you." You know what I mean? As soon as you go through it, they're waiting for you, and that's how he got bagged up. So I don't think he was murdering monsters. I think he was trying to escape through a far away tree, and he got bagged up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then whatever the next tier villains or creatures in this world gave him the worms, which is our new baddie that's going to be introduced before the end of the season. That's going to be make these monsters, the things he said that the tip of the spear. They're just, you don't realize what else is out here. Blah blah, all that kind of stuff is going to be teased in my mind before the end of the season. So we go off to Kenny and Boyd talking about, and keep the calls coming. We're gonna get to all the calls after we get through the recap. So we go off to Kenny and Boyd talking about how the leaves are changing. We got to stop right here, Tony. Full stop. The leaves are changing for the very first time. This leads into your theory about floods coming, seasonal change, and all of that. Go.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we heard Victor say the same thing, and he never seen this before. And I think it's all happening in cycles. Again, I think all these people have been there before, and pull them in for altered dimensions. But I think that once the seasons change, they've gotten all they're about to get out of these people, so it's time to recycle them and start all over again. Yeah. And I think that's what the season changed. That's why they've never seen it before. They let them do their years there. All right, we got them what we got them. We got to flood this place, clear the board, and start all over with our project again.
Interesting. I love that stuff. To do the counter thing too of something else it could mean, in the sense that they're proceeding further in the game, which is similar to what Tony's saying. If you don't subscribe into the loop kind of thing, or the different parallel dimensions kind of thing, you could just say that it's by upgrading the game. This is they've entered into by some of the stuff that's Jim's doing, and Jade being there and having a few more motivated individuals. Whoever's in charge of this on the other side, the Truman Show conductor, is just upping the game to the next level. And I think in both situations, we're like, whether it's a cycle and all these people are on the roller coaster going around and around, or it's the first time they're going through here, either way, I think it's someone amping up the game and it's proceeding it to the next level.
No doubt about it. So let me say shout out to Scott McCord. He just retweeted us on Twitter, so he's watching on Twitter and everything else.
Thank you, Scott.
My man Scott McCord. Big up to you. Missed you this episode, bro. Missed you this episode. Big up to you. E-Time, thank you for the super chat. He says Monsters Key Mart up for the same power Boyd wields one chip. I hear what you're saying on that and everything else, but we're gonna talk more about the Boyd. I don't want to get to the what happened to Smiley until
the end. When we talk about so let's zip through this a little bit here. So because a lot of this is lead up to this end.
Real quick, we have over 344 people up in the building rocking with us, and we only have 129 likes. It's free to like the video. Please just go and like the video. I mean, we should have at least no less than 300 likes. So come on, let's hit those likes, people.
Do it, and helps get it out to more and more folks, which gets more people in the discussion, in the chat, talking about the show right now. So Boyd and Kenny talk about how the leaves are changing. I totally agree with what you're saying on that one, Tony, as well as thinking just it's proceeding the level up. Boyd tries to talk to Kenny and leaves, and Boyd screams and finally starts to tell someone about the worms crawling under his skin. And then he hears the music box. He walks away in the woods, sees the box on a rock by the cellar door, opens it, and it's the ballerina again, walks up to him, and Kenny's there. And it's just such a surreal scene, and played really well by the actor who plays Kenny, because he can't look at the ballerina. And he's just like looking at Boyd, like it was almost like a Peter Pan kind of scene. It was very fantasy-ish in this moment. And Kenny's there, and he asks if we flash back to normal showing. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. We see the ballerina walking up again, and Kenny's there. He asks if he saw the ballerina, and we go immediately back to normal, and Kenny saw shit, not to mention the worms under my skin. And I said, I'm losing my mind. And he gives Boyd that look you give your buddy when you think he took too much acid or something. He's just like, okay, Boyd, you're way out there. And Boyd says we should go, and Kenny's concerned. So
I'm with you on this. Cheryl Washington, thank you for the super chat. But she says Martin was locked up for a reason. I believe they were afraid of him. I'm going to talk more about exactly what's going on with Martin because they say it in this episode. They go through the whole situation of the worms and what the worms actually do. So when we get to that spot when Boyd's in the hospital, we'll definitely talk more about that. So you know what I mean? That's where it is. As for Unicorn saying, where can you see the episodes preview? I don't know. It's hard to see them. I think in overseas, they show them right after the episodes, but in the United States, they don't give us the preview. So
yeah, it's weird that they don't. I think they release them on like Thursdays or Fridays or something like that.
they release them overseas. It's like right after the episode because I've seen someone shoot it on their phone from their TV set, but but they don't do it in the United States. It's not right after the episode. People are saying, what do you think about her dance? Was it the dance of death? Again, when I think of dancing, you know what I mean, and this is the name of the episode. I think of George R. R. Martin when he talks about like a dance of dragons.
Yeah,
how dancing is fighting, and that's what it really seemed like, and that's what it seemed like, a dance between two. George R. R. Martin would say stuff like, they're all painters and they paint with blood. So that's what it seemed like Boyd was this episode. He was a painter and he painted with his own blood.
I will also say that the dance was also in ballet. I couldn't say that word for a second. I was like ballerina-ing. Ballet is very much telling a story through dance too. So if I'm going to the sense of what we're talking about at the beginning, that she was trying to convey a message to Boyd, she's also trying to communicate with him to a certain extent. Or again, I asked the question, we'll talk more about this later, just to put this out there. Was the ballerina part of the torture? Because we did see the music box by Martin. Like, was the ballerina part of the torture? Was that happening to Martin as well?
We got to also ask the question: is who's giving him these messages? Who's sending this stuff to him?
Boy in white. The boy in white is the ballerina.
Why is he getting these? Boy in white is not the ballerina.
The boy in white is absolutely the ballerina in a different form.
That's why she was in all white. Right?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. She was in all white. I was going to say that later. Thank you. That she was in all white. I think the boy in white has magically transformed into the ballerina in that moment to send a message to Boyd. That is my speculation at the moment. I'm completely wrong. That's my tinfoil craziness at the moment that I'm working with, Tony.
I hear you. Where are y'all taking calls? I just left it. When are you taking calls? We're trying to get through the recap and then go to the calls and stuff. We're almost through the recap.
Yeah, we'll
be taking calls. We'll have the calls in there. We're definitely taking all your calls. So leave them. It's all going to be there and everything else. Don't think we're not going to take all the calls.
All calls left tonight. We will get to
we'll get to everything tonight. I promise you. We don't have to work in the morning, so we're up all night with you. Don't worry about it. Just make sure you hit the thumbs up for your boys up in here and rocking with us and everything else. So we definitely have that. We're just going through it right
Kimberly, jump on that silly train. Anyone who wants on that train with me can jump on that train with me. So Kenny's there. He asks if saw it, and Boyd says we should go. We go back to Colony House, and Ellis and Fatima seem to be handling things fine, especially Ellis. We see our buddy, friend of the show, Duck Dynasty, for a second at the table. And Ellis goes to Fatima and asks if she's okay. And she says coldly, "We're fine." Okay. I've been in relationships before. You've been in relationships before. Everyone knows the fine isn't fine. No one that's ever said fine in the history of fine is good. And I love how Ellis gets this, almost smiles to the camera to talk to all of us and goes, yup. There's just this smile like I know.
I mean, cool. This is cliche.
It's so cliche.
And this is women. Women do this more than men. It's usually women. You know what I mean? They always say, "Are we good, babe? Yeah, we're fine." Yeah, no. That's when, there's two signs when your relationship is going bad. I can tell you, when you get the fine, that's number one. And if they start listening to any song that artist Joe plays, if you ever come in your house and you hear her playing songs made by Joe, all the things your man will do for you, I want to do for you. You hear these songs, every one of Joe's songs is "I'm gonna take your girl and do it better than you." You know what I mean? So if you ever hear Joe playing in your house or you get the fine, know that there's something wrong with your relationship. But Ellis did give us that.
He gave us a smile. He almost gave us a smile to the camera.
He almost skipped the fourth wall break.
Yeah, he almost. Oh, he almost did. Max Jones, just to quickly put this out here, ballerina scenes, I believe, signify that they are nearing in and that the time is running out. The clock is ticking. Very possible as well, because Boyd did mention several times that he feels them getting stronger and reaching a precipice sort of point, which we'll get to when we talk about Smiley, because I have some questions, Tony. So we go back to Colony House. I was going to call her Enid. Call him Enid. Ellis and Fatima are handling things. We see our buddy Duck Dynasty, and everything's okay. So we go off to Boyd at the clinic and Christy, and he's finally explaining what happened with Martin in the woods with the bloodworms transfer. And Harold plays this. Boyd plays this scene extremely well. There's no way to tell you about these worms and not make it sound logical. He's like, this cut, told you about last time. He said some shit to me. He felt that they were feeding off him. And Tony's going to mention this in a second, I believe, with what he was talking about. He says that they kind of explain what was happening here. They were feeding off him for years, not letting him die. So the only thing he could do to die would be to pass him over to Boyd. And his body had passed the point where it should already die, like the knight in Indiana Jones, if he walks out of there and just will like go to dust. That's why he died. And when Boyd transfers at the end, he doesn't die, is because Martin's body was already dead. The worms were just keeping him alive. Is that kind of what you were going to say? Something
That's 100% what's going on. He explained it crystal clear in there. What's going on? These worms were keeping him alive, and they were feeding off of him, which makes me think 100% that this is an experiment on longevity of life. They found these alien parasites were found by some NASA people or whatever you want to say. And they're testing these things out. They're testing, hey, how can we use these effectively, and how long will they kill us if they're in our body? And they put it inside of his body to see exactly how long it would keep him going. And that's exactly what was going on. It kept him going. I thought that, when he died, you see him die, that someone in the fourth dimension did it to him. But it was clearly said that it was the worms that were keeping him alive. And once they were transferred off his body, the time had ticked on his regular body. Kind of like, if you looked at, again, we'll do another Game of Thrones reference here, but Melisandre, right?
Right.
If you watch Game of Thrones, Melisandre was like 500-something years old. And when she used all of her magic up and everything else, you seen her turn to a regular form, and she just died because you can't live at 500 years old. And stuff like that. So that's what was going on with him and everything else. The worms were injected into him to see exactly how long that they would keep him alive. And that's what it seems like. But I think that there's something else going on. Something else going on with these worms. Maybe some of these worms, maybe it's different parasites. Maybe they have parasites that turn people into these monsters. You don't know how many different forms of parasites that there are. Maybe some of these parasites give people visions.
Yep. Maybe they do all sorts of different things. And C-Bell
Boyd didn't get no visions until he got these shits up in his arm.
Yep. And to you guys are cracking up. So it's hippie activities to answer the question. And as C-Bell said, we're going to be putting this question through to the end. And Tony hinted at this, teased it, as they say. Do the monsters even have blood? Smiley didn't bleed when he was caught. We're going to talk about that at the end. Stick around for that discussion when we get to the end part of the episode.
And Brother Fishing, thank you for the super chat. So how many seasons would you like the show to run? We talked about this many times. Phil, you said it's a 5-6 season show. I don't think it's a lost 9 season show. I would say 6 could be the max that I think they could do it without it becoming stale.
Yeah. I would agree with you there as well. So he's like, if you don't believe me, that's fine. But if I go crazy, or if it gets to the point where these worms are destroying me, you need to shoot me. You need to kill me. He basically makes her make the promise with him that Martin tried to get Boyd to make. And Christy's like, yeah, I'll fucking kill you. I don't care. Like she's I love Christy. She's like, I'll kill you. I don't care. So Kenny's staying the night and he talks with Christy. Kenny's playing this. If we're thinking last year's Kenny was getting no ass, Kenny's playing this right. He's not trying too hard. He's keeping his distance. I think this might work out for Kenny in the end. So Kenny's staying the night. He has a really quick, cool conversation with Christy, and they lament about the worms. And Kenny's like, "Oh, I don't see those fucking worms." Christy's like, "I don't see any worms," but and then we get
You want to see one, Christy?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you. I got one
He's
for
about
you.
to say, Kenny. I know he was about to say it was going to come out of his mouth. He's trying to hold back.
Yeah, I got a worm for you if you want to see it, Chrissy.
You know about the worm? I got a worm for you, girl.
Oh my goodness, Tony, that was great, great fucking timing on that. That was awesome. Okay, so the worms. Kenny is losing his mind, and Kenny thinks he might be losing his mind due to Parkinson's because it reminds him of his dad. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Did he tell you about the worms? You want to see a worm? And Christy's like, I saw no worms, and Kenny is like, this is outstanding with my dad, and we rationalized it. Good scene with both of them. Kenny really played concerned anger combo, almost like Tony Soprano when he realized Uncle Junior was losing his mind when he kept telling him, "You don't have the makings of a varsity athlete," and he just gets this kind of moment where he's like, "Oh, Junior didn't mean that shit." And and I think Kenny's trying to rationalize around his mind why Boyd would make the decisions. He's like, "Oh, he's like my dad," and it was just a very much a moment like
it's two things. Either Kenny's planning a coup and he was trying to take it over and he can use this as a coup method to rationalize it by saying, "Oh, he's acting just like my dad.
Yep.
He's acting just like my dad," and everything else. Would you pull a gun on your father like that? I don't think he'd do that. You know what I mean? So Kenny's walking the line. And I don't know exactly what Kenny's intentions were when he did it. You know what I mean? But he's definitely walking the gangsterdom line. And so he's a saying Tony.
We get some Kenny love going on the live to be like, "No, Tony, Kenny was being
I
brave.
know y'all love Kenny.
Kenny was being brave. Heisenberg, Kenny.
That was he being brave. Where was the braveness?
So it's
where was he under threat that he had to be brave?
He was being brave at the end with the worms.
No, after.
Yeah, later on.
Pulled the gun on dude.
Later on, yes, in front of everybody, in the opera.
And tried to force him to sit down. Then he felt bad about what he did, and then he tried to cover it up and say, "Well, give it to me then."
I don't hear it.
That's why he did it. Don't give me this. He was trying to be. No. He knew what the hell he did. He pulled the gun on dude, and then he realized, "Oh shit, I fucked up." He put it in me. Put it in me.
Kenny is a tyrant, says Drunk Fisherman. We love Kenny. So we go off to the Matthews family with Donna. This is a great scene too, and Kenny's mom. And we get the rations being rationed out, and it was only like and Jim was pissing me off in this scene. Like, take Donna aside and have this conversation. Why are you bringing this up? And I love how again, to get ahead of myself a little bit, Ethan kind of brings him back to normal, but Jim was again pissing me off. Like, close your damn mouth. And like, I know we always say characters don't talk to each other in the show. Like, in this case, Jim needs to learn what conversations are private conversations and what conversations you have in front of your two kids, your 16-year-old and your 11-year-old kid that are just sitting there trying to conceptualize the fact that we might run out of food. Like Donna is trying to hold this together. She's like, what was I supposed to tell everybody when you were stuck under the house building that stupid tower? And Jim is like, we got to tell people, we got to make people panic. And she's like, no, people are going to act like you moron. And I don't want everyone to go like that. And Donna Liz is just amazing and then Jim, and we'll get the super chat too. Jim pushes the stress test thing again. Tony, is he reaching the point with stress test that you've said this before? That he's saying it too many times, so it's not the case.
It's making me nervous now. He said it the one time, but the fact that he keeps saying it may mean he's wrong. You know what I mean? So it's 50-50 with that right now. I believe it's definitely an experiment and everything else, but it's his theorizing. You can only say it when you say it too many times, it's like they're trying to throw it in your face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like they're talking to you personally.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No,
so I'm with him, and I think the fans with him, but he might be wrong in it. Kirby, thank you for the super chat. Said Munsters don't know about worms. Smiley's reaction. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but apparently
we'll get
no.
to that soon.
Tony, I got to get your take on this just because it annoyed me. Like, should Jim have brought that shit up in front of the kids? I think he was running his own kids into a little bit of a panic.
Yeah, you need to shut your mouth. You can't just, that the reason Donna went to the house to begin with was the nut course.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
That's why she goes there. And then as soon as he gets there, Jim wants to cause everyone into panic in that house.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I'm here, because I figure the adults are here and we can handle this in a good manner. And here's Jim blowing up spots and everything else. You know
Like,
what I mean?
shut
Messing
up,
everything
Jim.
up. Yeah, shut up, Jim. I mean, him and Tabby, right? So we got Tabitha inside the cave. Victor, shh, Victor, shh. They're sleeping, girl. I mean, I'm telling you.
They're a bunch
now
of
we got
chatty Cathys.
both chatty patties.
Chatty
Two chatty
patties.
patties. They're perfect together.
Chatty Cathy and Chatty Patty. And he pushes the stress. Ethan asks too many questions, no pancakes soon about food, and Jim sort of snaps into reality. I guess I can blame the place on Jim losing his mind and scaring the kids, and he sort of snapped back into reality, like I shouldn't be talking about this in front of my kids. Maybe that was what was going on, or is someone in the live chat, Jim was causing a panic, Jim is a narcissist. We got a lot of that going on in the live chat right now. Okay, so we get Boyd in pain in the clinic. He's hearing more music, seeing the box, and the ballerina this is a great shot scene with the ballerina behind the curtain doing dancing. And he looks behind the curtain and she's gone. And suddenly she's behind him and she throws him on the bed and she starts to suffocate him. But he wakes up and Mari's in there and he draws the gun on Mari. And she's like, fuck, but whatever. I didn't steal your drugs. And she immediately runs into the other room and rats him out to Kenny and Christy. But she did get drawn on. It's scary, but he catches himself, and that is the first scene that we've seen it sort of manifest to cause Boyd to do something like that, and probably seeing where this eventually would have led him to a place where, similar to what happened to Abby, different place to get there, but he probably knew he would have turned into that, which is why he wanted Christy to kill him if it needed to be.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go into theories at the end, but I have it. Make sure you bring this back up to me at the end. I have a huge theory. I'm going to put it in probably my next video that I do. I'll do one tomorrow. But I had a huge theory on this whole thing and on everything else that's going on.
So definitely make sure.
I'm gonna give it to y'all tonight. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna put in a video more well spoken.
I'm gonna bold this section of the recap to make sure to bring it up again. So we already talked about this a lot, so there's no reason to belabor this.
Real quick about that. She did smother Boyd.
Yeah, she smothered
him. I think that's significant that she tried to smother him.
And absolutely, and that goes against. I guess we'll talk about it again at the end. What do you really think? Was she trying to convey a message to him in some ways, or was she trying, or is it part of the worms torturing him?
It could be a little bit of both. You know what I mean? It's no distinct answer of what she was at. If it was a good thing that she was there, or a bad thing. But if you want to go with the boy in white is her, or the boy in white center, then it's a good thing. And smothering, when the monster dies, it says, if you use closed caption, it says that, he was choking.
Interesting.
It says choking. When it goes choking, and then screeching. So that's what it was and everything else. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you ain't subscribed, subscribe to the channel now. Become a member of the channel. We have over 430 people up in here. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for your boys and everything else. We're doing good right here. Could be the biggest show. I think we hit 500. We got the biggest one yet.
And so keep it coming. Keep sharing it if you haven't already.
More people will come in and stuff
Tony,
like that.
we have another super chat. Do you think the monsters have the ability to move fast if they want to? What's stopping them from going turbo? Why they move so slow? Does that tie into the fear? Thank you, Drunk Bishop, for bringing this up, because this is something I wanted to bring as a minor nitpick of this episode. I don't want to go too far with it, but this is a nitpick of this season in general, and or maybe it's a redesign of what the monsters can do. It seemed like in season 1 they could pick up pace a little bit more, and they had a little bit more urgency to get to people to kill them. I go back to the Father Cautry situation, where one seemed like that it was so far away. And in this episode, in a couple of moments when they were moving him, Ellis, to the car, I guess it feeds into that Fatima Mole theory. But it seemed like they were lollygagging a little bit. They're lollygagging to get to them. And so I don't know. Can they run? We know Jason can run in Friday the 13th. He does it in some movies. Can these monsters run, Tony, or are they locked into just walking?
It could be just locked into walking. We haven't seen them run, but we have seen them react fast when they're lunging to eat something or anything like that. Like we see Jasmine do it. That lunge she gave was
the quick lunge,
and everything. The Father Cautry throat slash was fast. They got right up to him and then they throat slashed him. The little girl, when she died right in the beginning, you know what I mean? She that was a really fast situation when she got taken out and everything else. So we have seen them with the ability to move faster, but it does seem. I mean, I'm with you on this. I don't want to nitpick the show or anything. They don't seem as scary as they did in the first season. I don't know if it's because we're used to them or it's just the way that they're playing them. But they don't seem, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't have that closing in, like impending doom when you see them kind of vibe. They're still off-putting and great performances, and they were used really well in this episode. That's not necessarily my point, but I do feel like I don't know if they've made a conscious choice to have them be very floaty in the way that they approach people right now, with not as much urgency, and maybe that leads into, as we meet other threats, that adds to the danger level of the other threats that maybe hunt a little quicker.
No doubt about it. All right, Kirby, thank you for the super chat. Can the Munsters no fear? What do you make of their reaction to due to the death of Smiley? We're going to talk about that as soon as we get to this part. I promise.
Yeah, we will talk more about the death of Smiley.
You know, we'll talk. I promise you, the super chat will be respected, and we will talk about that. We're just trying to get to that part. And someone else left the super chat. Did we get that? Oh, we did that. All right. So good.
So our next scene is just more of Ellis or is the bigger scene between Ellis and Fatima arguing. She's basically upset or she says she's upset that he didn't tell her about Sarah and that the dad made him keep a secret. It's not fair. But Ellis again sees through it and goes, "It's not about that. What are you really upset about?" He's like, "I hear all that. Yeah, I should have told you. Yada, yada, yada. But you've been off since the sheriff's station. Something's up. But is that really all that there is?" And then they sort of cut because Dale's in there yelling at Elgin because Elgin was stealing food for Sarah. And Tony, I'd love to hear more. Like, so you think he was definitely stealing food? Like,
it's 100%. He was stealing food for Sarah. That's why the food count is low. That's why he's nervous in the back. You know what I mean? He's definitely taking food for Sarah and got bagged up. Dale was right about that. You know what I mean? They were taking food, and then all of a sudden, boom, we got two super chats, and then we see him flip. We got one super chat from Quentin, my man Q Quentin right here. I haven't seen him in a while and everything else. And he says, I'm gonna watch this show because I respect y'all.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Q. I really truly appreciate that. You're gonna love it. You know, KP was on the fence too, right? When KP first, he was on the fence with the show. But KP has come around now. KP is watching. He's about it. He's about it now. So thank you for that super chat, Q. And we have another one here. I'm going to take this one before we go on too, and that is from Bella Say, donated big super chat. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Do you think maybe the spider bites transferred the worms, and Boyd just hallucinated a chained up man? Is that possible? I don't. I think that he got him from Martin. I don't think
not after tonight. I think that's one of the questions. I'm sorry, Tony. Yeah, I think that's just one of the questions that got answered tonight. I think the fact that the other people saw the worms confirms that Martin was real.
Yes, I 100% agree. But thank you for the super chat. We truly appreciate it.
So yeah, Dale, this is the Dale scene. Dale's yelling at Elgin for stealing food for Sarah, or someone stealing food. I mean, the bus folks. He calls them out. And it's like there's a Survivor contestant that accuses people of like stealing food. You stole food. And Dale calls them all out on food issues. He basically blows up Donna's spot here. He keeps cutting veggies. The way he's cutting veggies definitely foreshadows what happens in this scene. If you watch it back, like the way he's just cutting the vegetables and stuff. He basically says these people need to leave. These bus people got to get the hell out. You guys go outside and die. And then he comes at, like, I forget exactly what happened. He pushes some people around. He comes at them to be like, get the hell out of here. And then Ellis steps in to kind of stop the situation. He turns around and he stabs Ellis pretty deep in the chest. And the actor that plays Dale, the way he says, "Oh fuck, I'm sorry," it's just such a douche, so douchebaggy, Tony. It was like one of the biggest douchebag line reads of all time. Bravo to you, sir. That was such a good line read. The way he just says, "Oh, buddy, sorry, Tony, I shot you in the face. I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry, dude."
It really was. He really did a great job on that one.
It was great.
He really did a great job on that one. It was just funny the way he did it and all that, but it was,
a
really
totally
great.
fucked up. Someone said it was a fucked up line. It was a totally fucked up line. It was just like he totally was just like fuck. I don't know. I loved it. It was really well done.
No doubt. I'm gonna try to slow down the chat for them real quick.
Someone says he looks like Phil Collins. Someone says Dale sucks. Absolutely, Johnny. And that's the point. He does such a good job playing somebody that sucks so much. And everyone, I do see a bunch of voicemails. We're going to get to all of our voicemails very soon. We're heading towards the end of the episode. So as Dale fucking stabs him. So Fatima brings Ellis in, and the bus driver helps. She gets a little screen time here. And but this is bad, and good eye contact between the bus driver and Fatima. They're sort of communicating why it's happening, and the bus driver is giving Fatima a look like he can't survive. He's gonna die very soon. So we go off to Boyd in the chapel. Is this going to become a thing constantly? Why they kill the character off if they just want to keep bringing him back? So we go out. I think they're regretting killing this character off. So we go off to Boyd in the chapel. We see some stains that there's some stains you just can't wash clean as we get another Father Cautry, which is great. Like, I don't mind seeing him again, but I kind of wish the character was still alive when you see the scenes with him. Like, I think he died a little premature. He could have had a similar death in season 3 or something, but I think we should have had a little bit more time with this character. Personally, that's just selfish. I'm selfish, but they're giving it to us here. So we look at the blood stains, his death things. It's basically, I guess, a way. Do you think there's anything to these scenes, or is this just really Boyd talking to himself and seeing a visual of him making rationalizations in his own mind?
He's definitely talking to himself, but it comes again. He never did this before.
No, he didn't. Is it because of the worm?
Until he got these worms in his ass. You know what I mean? Until these worms started crawling around his ass, we never seen him have hallucinations like that. You know what I mean? Start talking. And so I think it has something to do with the worms and stuff. And he's talking out loud. It's not like he's talking in his head. He's saying the words out loud. He's saying it right out loud.
Yeah, he's like us talking right here. He's having like a one-on-one.
You gotta keep that shit inside your body. You gotta talk. You can't just start spitting that shit out there and everything like that.
Someone in the live chats at Nisha Nice says Martin told him you'd see things, so that connects to what you're saying, Tony. So he's probably tapping into seeing some manifestation, and I like how the manifestation Cautry is trolling him, and it's a fun scene. You see the chemistry that these two actors have together, and that's what I'm missing. I hope they keep bringing him back in flashbacks. I don't care.
Listen. He died very well. One of the best acted scenes in this whole show is him dying. The breath she was taking and the wheezing he was doing was amazing, the way he died.
I just wish it was 2 seasons later, Tony. He says you're a stubborn asshole, but you trust no one. And it's great to see you actually trusting people and telling people. And then he says some, just real shit to Boyd, and Boyd's. He says, crazy is the most rational response you can have sometimes. Not every story, and then he gives them the Tyrion line. And I guess we're talking about Game of Thrones tonight. Not every story gets a happy ending. Or if this is the story you think you're getting a happy ending, this isn't the story you're watching. This isn't the right story. And then Boyd calls him the worst priest of all time. And then Cautry rags on him for making a shitty version of him. He's like, next time you manifest me, why don't you make a better version of me?
yeah, motherfucker, I'm giving right back to him.
This is your fault. You made me.
Yeah, it was a great banter between both of them. They did a great job of that.
Yeah, no, Tony, it was really good. Like, again, I talk a lot. It was very theatrical. Like, they're batting back and forth and communicating, and I thought it was played exceptionally well. The acting.
That's like if you manifest a baseball player, he strikes out. It's like, man, you suck at that base. I'm gonna make me Babe Ruth next time. You thinking me, motherfucker?
Exactly.
It's
not my fault. That's what you thought of. Boyd's like, dude, shit's going on. I'm terrified. And oh, sorry. Okay. So calls him the worst priest, and Kenny shows up and is like, who the hell are you talking to? And he tries to lock him in there. He's like, you're not leaving.
Yeah,
I gotta run to the bathroom.
Yeah, this was gangster dumb Kenny coming back all of a sudden. Who are you talking to? No, tell me who you're talking to right now. You're not leaving it. This gangster Kenny. I think that it seems like the actor definitely was in the weight room with the Don Tony Teflon lifting in the off season, right? And and it shows. You know what I mean? Because he's going on there to check Boyd too much, and it's not him. The whole thing about the gangsterdom Kenny, it's just that it's not believable. You know what I mean? As a character of Kenny to be acting that way. You know what I mean? Gang banging Kenny just ain't that, you know what I mean, and everything else. That's why I thought it was suspect, the way he was doing it, and the way that he was coming at Boyd. You know, it just seemed like, come on, dude, this is not you. This is not you. And I said, listen, we understand you got some pants that fit you now and everything else, but you gotta watch when you talk to you all of a sudden everything else. But he does try to back Boyd in the corner and everything else. And this is when I started thinking about Kenny could have been, you know what I mean, inside of trying to take over the town, trying to take Boyd's job. Oh, look at him. He's talking to himself. He's losing his mind. Just like, I should be the sheriff now. I should be the one who leads. And that's what it seemed like. And Kenny was definitely on some drama shit going on here. And definitely and everything else. Seemed like he was trying to step up too much.
He was feeling himself in that moment and feeling his position he was in. Oh, sorry. And it was just funny. And I think what was funny about it too, and I think he was acted well, and it was supposed to be in that point too. And I don't know if you said this when I walked away too. It's also that Kenny is his protege. So it's almost like when someone you've taught all your moves brings your game to you, and Boyd just gives him the look like, Kenny, you can't. What are you're gonna do the Boyd thing where you raise your volume? I'm not leaving this room. That's me. He's like, what? Just like, I taught you your game, Kenny. Like, I taught you how to be tough like this in a sense. And so I felt a little bit of that too. Like if like Daniel-san tried to throw a punch at Mr. Miyagi or something, it's just like, come on, you can't mess with me. Or Mick. I mean, I guess Rocky could beat up Mickey.
Yeah, you are not a Jedi yet.
Yeah, you're not a Jedi. You're not.
Padawan.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't run it yet. You go get everything else and all of that. So what 100% agree that Kenny was just trying to he tried to Boyd. And he's like, dude, you can't run your game on me. You can't play a player. You know what I mean? It worked on Sarah. See, that's what he did. He did the good guy, bad cop on Sarah, and he got everything out of her and everything else. But you can't. That's not working. You can't run that on Boyd.
Kirby, I'll say that we can promise that if we hope he lasts till the end of the series, but if Kenny doesn't make it, I'm coming out here and going, oh my God, they killed Kenny, you bastards. I'll say, well, I will fucking say it, or one of us will say it and the other one will say, you bastards. We'll do it right. We'll do it right. Don't you worry. That'll be the first thing we'll say that episode.
Thank you for the super chat, Mika Lee. Truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're the best, Mika. So yeah, okay. So Kenny and Boyd is like, dude, you're not believing me. Shit's going on. I'm terrified. Get the fuck out of my way. And I don't know what's happening, but it's real. And stop this damn shit. And I'm terrified. And Boyd's just bringing like the real truth to him right now. He's being completely transparent. And Kenny is he's like half and half. He's half drunk on power to a certain extent of what you're saying and like feeling that energy, and then also thinks he's so sure that Boyd is having dementia or due to the park. Like, this is just like my dad. Like, he's so sure. And I think we've all been in that situation where you project your own bullshit on a different situation. And again, in the concentratedness of this area, I'm not going to eat Kenny's lunch for doing that. It makes sense to me. But the other stuff is just funny. Like when he's trying to like be all like badass Kenny, it's the actor, the way they play it is really real in the sense of again like me trying to like, you taught me how to fight. Let me battle you. No,
no. This is boxing and sparring. It's two different things. When we got the headgear on, it's different. When we take the headgear off, and then we'll see what really happens.
Yeah. Do you want my real game? You want my real game? No.
Yeah. You want to see what it really feels like with no headgear. Yeah. Because you can definitely see what it is.
Absolutely not. So Boyd is like, dude, and I'm terrified. So Fatima wants to get to the doctor, but Ellis is like, it's night, we can't go. We talked a little bit about this scene earlier, but he needs it. And she enlists Elgin for help, and they start to get him moving. And they're like, we got to get him to the van, but it's too far away, and Ellis can't run. So Elgin gets this look, and we talked about this earlier, gets a look on his face either because he feels responsible because he was getting the food for Sarah, or he had some connected to his visions of knowing that he could do it somehow. Either way, he runs off and gets the van, and we get a scene with the monsters approaching Elgin very slowly as he finds the keys. It's a very tense moment as he gets the car running, and I got to give the actor, this actor plays like this earnest, good energy. I don't know what's going on with him, but I know he's a good guy. I don't know. I know some people think Elgin's the mole. I do not think Elgin is the mole.
No,
I think Elgin there might be something weird going on with Elgin, but I don't think he's.
They seem generally afraid, and they could have played the key drop cornerly. They only gave him one key drop, which is fine.
Yeah, they didn't go Back to the Future with it, where he's like,
yeah, it was. They gave one key drop.
Damn.
They played that right and everything else.
Rye says Elgin will be the hero of the season. You will see. I am with you. I think Elgin, not Sarah, or Elgin and Sarah working together with their visions and their connection are going to be a major key for solving problems moving forward. So he finds the keys, very tense moment. All the creatures come at them, but they manage to get Ellis in the back of the car just in time, and they drive off. Ton of blood. This is the scene we were talking about earlier as Elgin drives to the doctor. Amazing shot with the camera action as it's a handheld cam, and they bring it to the front, to the back, to the other side, seeing the monster like push up against the wall for a second. It felt really real and felt like you're in that moment, in that POV of Fatima in the situation. And great acting where he can't breathe, and them saying, I can see it, we're almost there, we're almost there, we're almost there. No creatures as of now. We click into Mari and Christy getting ready to have their talk, and there's a knock that breaks up the talk, and Christy goes into action as Boyd comes down and tries to hold it together, and Boyd, who's sort of a military guy, is able to sort of keep his emotions in check and kind of help Fatima through it as Christy's like, get these people out of here. And Elgin is watching and kind of gets grossed out by the blood. Christy relieves the pressure in his lungs where it's filled with blood, and he can breathe again. And Ellis possibly will make it, because this sets up a different situation that we're going to talk about in a moment here. Boyd and Fatima, she is freaking out, and he calms her down. I'm not nervous. Does Christy look nervous? And Christy comes in and says, Ellis needs some blood. What is your blood type? O negative. Okay, we can strap you up and give you the blood. This sets up, and this was awesome. This was really good writing. To set up a situation like this within the plot of the show. It pays off everything that happened before it. It's an emotional moment where you're just like, fuck, what does he do? Like the organs are going to drop if they don't do this. And Boyd's like, I can't give the blood worms. I'm not doing it. And I don't want to talk about this whole scene right now, but Tony, what are your thoughts of this?
They played it really well, and it puts Boyd in a position like he knows that these worms will extend the life of his son, but he doesn't know what these worms are actually doing bad. So you could put it in there and save his life, but you could be hurting him for the long term. So he was thinking more long term. I can't give this to you. I don't know what's going on. Unlike Dr. Bruce Banner, when his cousin was hurt, and he put his blood right in her and made her into She-Hulk. He wasn't thinking about that. You know what I mean? Boyd's going into it's thinking about that whole situation. Are we going to get an Ellis Hulk and everything else like that? So he didn't want that to happen. So that's why he wouldn't do it. And then that leads up to Kenny pulling the gun on Boyd and demanding that you sit down there and give him and put him in it. He would have had a better chance just putting him in the headlock and trying to get him down there than putting a gun like that. That's not going to scare this dude. It's not enough, dude. Like,
Boyd's just like,
you're going to shoot me right now in front of my son who's about to die, dude. This is what your response is, to pull a gun on me to get me to sit down. So that's why I can't respect Kenny Gangsta in this situation.
This was his closest to Breaking Bad dumbass moment, because again, just think, where is your? I'm not saying I wouldn't be scared in that moment because I'm not Boyd. I don't have. I wasn't a soldier. I wasn't go through that sort of stuff. But in that moment, it's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot me in front of my son who's dying on the table. You're gonna shoot me in front of Christy. You're gonna shoot me in front of Fatima right now. Like, what's your game plan, Kenny? Like, what are you trying to do here in this moment? You try to just threaten me into it, and Kenny just wants to do something. He's playing hero ball. He's not quite, and he's been brought up a bunch in the chat tonight, and we'll talk about him at the end because he wasn't in the episode. Randall, Kenny's got a little bit of the cowboyitis in him a little bit as well. Like, he wants to be here.
He wants to shoot somebody. He
wants
wanted
to be a
shoot the
hero.
girl in the head to kill her. He wanted to shoot her in the head from that. He's overboard with it. As I said right in the beginning of this episode, we talked about it. The yin and yang factor going on here with him and his mom. He's just overboard right now, and Kenny's just like, "Come on, what do you really think?" Boyd's gonna say, "Okay, I'm sorry, Kenny. Let me sit down.
Yeah, let me sit down and get my son.
Let me sit down and just kill my son with these worms that are in my arm."
Okay.
But this leads to Boyd getting upset. And right when he gets upset and everything else, this is when the worms actually see it. And then Christy's girlfriend's the first one to see it.
Right. She's the first one to see it. And at first, when I first watched it, I thought maybe she could only see it. But why do you think did the worms show up because it was nighttime, or did the worms show up because he got angry?
I think he was getting upset. The stress level, I think, made the worms come out.
So Kenny immediately is like, "Oh shit!" When they see the worms are very real. And Kenny's like, "You gotta cut me, Mick. No, cut me. Sorry, Tony. Cut me. Cut me, Mick. Give me the worms, yo." Like, I'm gonna fight Apollo. And to Kenny's defense, he acts like Rocky here, where he's gonna fight the fight. He's like, I want to be the hero.
Is that the case, or is it? And thank you, Willie, for subscribing. I seen you early. Thank you, Willie, for subscribing. Truly appreciate it. Is that the case, or does Kenny feel like an asshole that he's been doubting him this whole time,
and
now
Tony.
He sees it and he's trying to make up for it? So now he wants to be the hero. So put it in me. Put it in me. Pause. You know what I mean? But put it in me. Let me take this burden off.
I'll take it. And he says, and Boyd's like, "No, I can feel this stuff getting stronger and stronger." And right there in that moment, you see it like an aha kind of moment pop in on Boyd's face. He gets an idea. So let's talk about this and then we'll break it down. So he heads outside, turns to Kenny and says, "It's got to go somewhere, right?" Heads outside, starts yelling, "Where you at? You want some fresh blood? I'm right here. Come and get me. I know you can hear me. Come and get me. Want to play games? I'm right here. I'm ready. All you do is knock on doors." Such a great monologue. "All you do is knock on doors and windows. Want to play games? I'm right here. Come out." And I almost shit my pants, Tony, because I had a feeling I knew what was going to happen here in this moment. Like, I think as most people watching, you're like, "Oh, he's going to give the worms to a monster." But I was like, wait. And I wrote this in the notes. Wait, that's Smiley, not Smiley. And he says, "Come get me." Boyd is surrounded by many of them. Milkman's there, married couple. I think the wedding dress
woman. And the wedding dress woman got an upgrade in this wedding dress.
Yeah, she looks extra scary. And Smiley approaches Boyd, and Boyd cuts his hand and says to Smiley, "What are you waiting for?" And sneaks up, cuts Smiley's neck, grabs him, and says, "My blood is your blood now, motherfucker," and transfers the worms onto him. Smiley just goes,
and it hurts him. You could hear the worms coming out of his body, going
bloop, bloop,
and it's hurting him while they're leaving his body.
And Too Many surrounded Boyd, as Luna says, and Smiley goes, "I like this game," and takes a step to finish the job and walks towards him, screams, and turns to important. And this is what I can't wait to see in the next episode, which state he is in. He seems to revert to his monster state and scream and be stuck in the monster state and then fall down and die, apparently. And all the creatures that were surrounding Boyd walk towards Smiley and seem either confused or angry or maybe even happy because they see there's a way they can die. I don't know. And this is what I'm curious of your perspective of all of this, Tony. I'll pass over to you in a moment here. And he walks over and looks at Smiley, and Boyd runs in as all the creatures are sort of just walking away. The smiles are gone. I also want to point out that the smiles disappear once that happens, and they look at him, and then they just turn away and walk away. So
Yeah,
Tony,
two,
what the hell
and
is going on here?
they break up into twos. Two go this way, two go the other way, right? And so they don't all just go together, even though they're all living in the same damn hole and stuff. And it seems like, when it went inside of it, it forced him out of whatever glamour he had.
Do the monsters
And
have blood? I'm just to add another fuel. Do they have blood?
no, there was no blood. There's no blood that came out when he cut him. It was just a hole.
So is
That
that why
was
the
it.
worms killed him instead of
Instantly.
torturing
Instead
him?
of, I think they live inside the blood, right? They live in
Mhm.
it under your skin and everything else. But he had no blood. There was no dripping of blood. There was nothing. It was just a hole that they got transferred him. And again, it was choking, gagging. What was in the when you highlight it and you watch it of the subtitles. So it choked him to death.
It
These
choked him
months.
to death.
That's how he died, from choking.
So it cut off his air supply somehow. So what do you think about the monster, the creature's response after Smiley died? Were they angry? Were they disinterested? Were they scared? What do you think was going on with them?
I think they all didn't know, never seen any one of them in a state like that. So it was weird to see him on the floor acting that way. So they walked right past it. It was more type situation. What's going on here? And then when they see that he died, they were like, all right, time to go.
Yeah, someone says they look disappointed. Do you think these creatures long to die themselves, or are they just? It was interesting to see more interaction with Boyd talking to Smiley, and like Smiley seems to be the smile almost seemed in this scene, like all the smiles, like they were forced on them. Like he couldn't drop the smile. Like he couldn't once it was on there. I don't know. It seemed like it was almost like an automatic kind of thing with everyone's faces. And once Smiley died, everyone's faces kind of changed. I don't know. It seemed interesting to me to think
He
what
looked different this season, Smile Monster. He looked different than he did in the first season. He definitely looked different. His hair, the wig that they put on him seems a little different and everything else. But I was mad when he showed up because I knew it was gonna.
me, Tony. I did the same thing. I was like, oh no, not Smiley.
He was a good guy. He came on the channel, rock with us and everything else. But I knew he was gonna get gotten.
Tony, I also
but I think they had to do it too. I'm sorry about that.
Oh
but
no,
I think they had to do it to a month so that we knew. They couldn't just do it to anybody. They wanted to do it to someone that we knew. And
yes,
if Jasmine's not there to do it to, he's the monster to do it to that we know.
He's like the strongest one in that situation, and they wanted to sort of prove a point with him in that situation. So it's Smiley, but yeah, I got pissed off too when I saw him. I'm like, no, not Smiley. And is a spoiler the description for next week's episode a spoiler?
The description?
Yeah.
I don't. If it's in the description, then no, it's not.
So these things are just called nightmare creatures.
Yes, they're called nightmare creatures
because they say because in the words for next week's episode, it says they try to take advantage of the apparent death of the nightmare creature. So we were pondering and saying, is that a specific name? Before the season, we had a conversation about that as we broke down because the descriptions got leaked a little early. And we were wondering if it was a specific creature called the nightmare creature, or they were just referring to these things. Each one had a different name, Smiley creature, this creature, but apparently all of these things are called the nightmare creatures.
Yeah. So when they individually, usually they say it, smile creature or whatever, a mechanic creature. Like when you put the subtitles on, they'll say it. They'll say cheerleader creature. They'll say smile creature. You know what I mean? But I guess, what they are considered is a nightmare creature. Which, listen, if people want to lean towards this being a dream, that's something that you could say it was. And if you look at inside of the house, of the colony house, Donna's got a big dream catcher in there.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And people in the live chat, Tony, are saying, and I don't want to dwell too much on this but we are towards the end of the episode. Apparent is a very key word in that situation. So you may not have seen the last of Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing else in those descriptions lead that it might be back, but I'm just saying, like, they very specifically do say apparent. So Boyd says I'm okay, and you see Kenny's like gives Boyd the look like, you got balls, dude. He completely submits any of like breaking Kenny is like, okay, I'm your Jesse. You're Walt. It's fine. That's fine, Mr. White. It's fine, Mr. White. Fine, Mr. Boyd. I'm on your I got your 6 again, Boyd. It's like
Oh
seeing
yeah, Kenny's coming back in the high waters. He's like, I'm back. I'm
Yep,
putting the
I'm
high
back
waters on.
next week.
I'm falling in line. But
Yep.
again, Kenny didn't admit that it was him. He said we should have trusted. He should have said I. It should have been like, yo, I should have had your back on this point. I should have trusted you. I should have believed you.
So
Instead, he was like, we should have believed you. We trying to put it on the whole group. It wasn't the group, it was you, Kenny. You were the one forcing the issue. Always acting like my daddy. I went through this with my daddy. I know this. Kenny, you a doctor? No, you don't know. You seen it in one situation, dude, and everything else. You seen it one time. You know what I mean? So come on, bro.
Speaking of the medical situation, transfusion is a success. Mari eyes the drugs but makes a good choice. We get a really good scene. We don't have to talk too much about the scene, but we get a really good scene with Donna and Ethan looking at the supplies, and Ethan saying he's scared, and her telling Secret that she's scared too, and that her mother said to her that being scared is the best thing you can do because it gives you an opportunity to be brave. This was a scene I talked about earlier, Tony. Not much to say. It was just a really well done scene that let Liz show her range, and she'd be great in like family movies, like or as Spider-Man's aunt giving emotional speeches like this. She does this as well as the badass stuff. Liz is amazing. She's great.
She's amazing. Husband's a good actor. That they're all great at what they do, but Liz especially, gotta give her credit. She's a scene sealer, and as you said before, the reins that they're allowing her character to show. They started it with the Julie situation, and when we had Hannah on, she specifically said that she was happy that it was Liz that she got the collapse into, that she was happy that it was her that she did. And we've seen it from there, the nurturing side of Donna from there, and they've expanded on that this whole season so far.
And they've done a really great job, and she eats this stuff for breakfast, and she really elevated Ethan's performance in this scene too. He was a really great scene. And yeah, again, very, for whatever reason, reminded me of Spider-Man stuff. I don't mean that in a bad way. It just reminded me of an Aunt May, Peter Parker kind of conversation where there's a hero in you, Peter, like that kind of speech. And I could see her playing that character.
Fear is key, that she said fear again. You know what I mean? And this could all have to do with fear. In the end, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah, and that's the gym situation, Tony, as well. So Christy and Boyd play my favorite game from Star Trek, Dr. Captain. Captain, you're not good enough to go back to work. I'm going back to work. I run this ship. And they have their favorite conversation where they go back. Oh, you can't go back to work. I'm going back to work. I'm the boss. And he gets up, and Christy talks to Ellis, and she's pumped he's okay. Christy is like the Swiss Army knife of doctors. I know she's a med student, like a third year medical student and a paramedic. So she has a lot of skills. And I would say even more so than a doctor in a specialization, like a third year medical student would be in a position to know about all different kinds of surgery, because that's part of going through medical school, especially in your third year, I believe, when you like go through, that's when you're first working with like real patients and stuff like that. And so I think she's still pumped, and eventually one of these surgeries isn't going to work out, but this one worked out, and she's pumped he's okay. And let's get to the important thing here in the scene. Fatima's scared, and he says, "You're still mad at me." Great line by the actor that plays Ellis. Again, very funny timing in this episode. They kiss, and she freaks out because of the worms, and this is just too much for her. But she runs out and heads into the room and goes to Christy, "Hey, I need a pregnancy test on the QT."
And listen, it was you people in the chat who came up in here. Thank you for subscribing, Herbie. Welcome to the family. You people in the chat came up with, who was the one who said it? Y'all came up with that theory. We here every week. We do a theory stream every Wednesday, and y'all came, not me. Y'all came up with, someone in the chat said, "Is she prego?" Forgot who exactly. I should have wrote down your name. You said it, and you were 100%.
Yeah, 100% correct, Tony.
You do not bring up a pregnancy test and not be pregnant. It ain't like she's gonna get it and it's gonna say negative. Yeah, she's pregnant.
She's pregnant, and what kind of creature is going to be born in this world? It's going to be an interesting situation. So we go off to our last scene of the episode. We already kind of talked about this, but Boyd and Kenny's back on Boyd's 6, and to Boyd's, God, Harold plays this so good. It almost comes off like again, I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of like Batman stuff tonight. Like Batman when he's like shitting on Robin a little bit. Like when Dick Grayson wants to be his own thing, and before he leaves to be Nightwing, and he's like, and they get into little fights, but then eventually he's back to like, it's okay, Batman. And boy just doesn't. He's not even like looking at Kenny anymore. He's like, Kenny's back on my team. He's like, yeah, Kenny. He's like, did it move? I don't know. And they look at this thing, and they, in very matter of fact way, they look at Smiley. Has it moved? Is it dead? We'll find out soon enough. So a couple things as we end our episode, Tony. Do you think when we see Smiley next week in the daytime, is he going to look like Smiley or is he going to look like a creature?
Creature. I think he'll look like a creature. And thank you for subscribing to RYN. I appreciate the subscription. Welcome to the family. He's going to look like a creature. He's not in that form anymore. We have hit 500
There we go.
In here, Rockham's. And Ray, thank you for subscribing too. 500 people. See, this is what the likes do, people. That's why I tell you, like the video, and it gets pushed out to more people. So keep liking the video. We got 500. That's the record.
You know, Tony, it's the perfect timing for that as well, because now we're going to get into the voicemails and some text messages from you guys and get your voice in the show. So we'll get back to KP's messages because we cut him off halfway through. So we'll get the second half of KP's message right here, and then we'll get into all of our calls and keep the chats coming and see some text messages. And we got a couple of emails we'll get to as well.
Now, people say, did I offer a thug mug to the person who came up with that theory? Did I do that? I seen Carla put that up in there. If I did it, I will give it to you.
I personally don't know. I haven't been here for the last couple of Wednesdays.
So I gotta see. If I did do it, I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely give that up. No problem.
So, yep, a chatter said because of Fatima's mood swings, congrats to her on Got That Right, says baby. Phil the Issues guy and Teflon TV, what are you sipping on tonight? Tony, what you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Heineken Silver.
And I am drinking Tito's vodka mixed with blueberry Waterloo seltzer.
That's what I'm drinking. But we're definitely. I'm gonna have to. I only got a couple more in here, so we're gonna have to switch it up to something else. I may have to go to a different drink in a second. And we're taking shots tonight.
Oh no, it's a holiday for Tony.
Yeah, what's the price of the super chat? We take a shot. So what we go?
Oh my goodness! No, that's all you, Tony. I'll give out my Venmo if people want me to take shots now. But here we go. Area code 868. Let's finish up KP's message. But yeah, I'll take big sips. I'll take big sips. I'll be passed out if we do vodka here, or if I take shots tonight. So now Phil is suspect. I'm totally a suspect, Jesse. I'm suspect. I'm not to be trusted.
Smiley saw that Boyd was trying to do something to him. Like, is it that the creatures don't know or didn't know that there's something out there that could kill them, and identified that Boyd didn't have it? Is it that they just didn't know they could die? Or are they just that stupid to see a man who has a weapon that can kill them and still be like, I'm going to still try to fucking murder him?
Great question, KP. And I'll pass it over to Tony right here. I think they're moths to a flame.
Yeah, I think this is the first time they've ever seen any one of these monsters get killed. And they're shocked and they never seen it before. And I think that's what it is. It's the first time one of these monsters actually got taken.
But I also think, Tony, that these particular monsters are that stupid. I think you've called them pawns at many times. I think they're very instinctual, and I don't think they even like. But to your point, maybe they just underestimated Boyd in that moment. In the same way, we're talking a lot of Game of Thrones tonight. When the White Walkers first underestimated someone with a Valyrian sword, like it's.
Do they amp Charlie with some dragon glass?
Yeah, with some dragon, good, even better one, Tony. So does this amp up the game quicker? Does this amp up the potential flood or monsters that can come out during the day? Like, does this sort of motivate the other side to be like, okay, you guys got one of us. It's time to amp things up a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna make them like, all right, if they're able. It depends how we're gonna get what happens here.
Yeah.
Now we have this monster sitting out there and everything else. You know what I mean? And Mika Lee, thank you again for the super chat. It says a white unicorn with the rainbow hair. Are we talking about Takashi 6ix9ine? Is that what she means? By this,
No, it's literally she just sent a sticker and it's a unicorn. It's a glowing unicorn.
Oh,
But fairness with the
I thought
ballet,
it was Takashi 6ix9ine reference, and I'm like,
or talking about the ballet or something. In this episode, I don't blame you. Is that another manifestation of the boy in white, the unicorn?
the unicorn. The unicorn.
The unicorn's definitely the boy in white, Tony. Confirmed.
Boy in white is the unicorn Takashi.
It's fucking confirmed.
But you know, I did a video. I told y'all, if y'all look at my other video I got there, I told you there's gonna be an alien autopsy. I told you this, and from what we're seeing and everything, I could pull up the video and play you the clip that made me realize that, because the actress, and let's say this straight up, the actress who plays Christy will be on this channel next week.
Oh, we got Christy next week? Awesome.
Next week, she will be here live with us, breaking down next week's episode. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you can come here and call in and ask her a question. She will be here next week, and we will be able to get through all this stuff and everything else and all that talk and everything.
K's calling in 781-990-8509. You can see it on the crawl underneath if you're watching.
If you're watching, you can see it on the crawl underneath and everything. 781-990-8509. If you're overseas, please use the issuesguy@gmail.com and leave a voicemail. But yes, we'll have her on next week. She'll be here next week, rocking with the Don Tony Teflon, Phil the Issues Guy. We'll be doing it and everything else like that. So yeah, definitely call them. We're going through all the super chats. We're going through all the questions right now, all the theories, anything that I've missed. It's just now's the time to bring it up.
Now's the time to call on in. Area code 773.
Hi everyone. My name's Christina. I'm from Chicago. My prediction, which is one of the scariest things that I could think of that could happen to Smiley Face that's laying out on the ground, is that when he wakes up that next morning, that he'll turn human. Yeah. That would be a great twist. I don't know what the townspeople would do if that happened, but that would be amazing if he just turned human. That's it.
Thank you, Christina from Chicago. I mentioned this earlier as well, Tony. A lot of people are talking about this. Do you think this is a possibility? Could Smiley turn human in the next day?
No, because again, we've read the description of next week's episode, and it says, and thank you, Emily, for becoming a member. It says specifically they try to capitalize off the death of this creature, right? Apparent death of this creature. Him turning human doesn't capitalize on that. That means they have to do something. They have to get information from this body. That's why I know people had the whole vampire theory. Is he going to burst into flames when the sun comes up?
Possibly.
Are we going to find that out? And everything?
Is he going to melt like a gremlin?
And did Boyd use too many of the worms? Now he's got no worms no more. Are the worms going to be inside the body? He's going to be able to harvest these worms. You know, is that what they're going to be able to do? They start harvesting worms and stuff. Because if you can start killing these creatures like that, then there's nothing to fear anymore. You just go out there and just slice them in their neck and then touch it and grab them by the throat and choke slam every one of them.
They need more worms. We need more worms. We're going to need a bigger worm. Area code 386.
Hey, this is JD. Area code 386. So I just, you know how like ever since the beginning they always say the monsters are coming from the forest, But now that we know they sleeping under the houses.
Okay, I'm going to play the rest of the person's message. This was an episode where we actually got a lot of people talking and sharing information, a lot of that good stuff. I'm still going to say, has Tabitha said to anyone about the caves yet?
No.
Not that we've seen. She needs to bring that shit up.
Not unless it was behind the scenes talk.
To Jim. Jim is probably the only one that she probably told that information. And I would think with Jim's big mouth, he would immediately tell that to Boyd and hatch a plan to go in there and cause some ruckus. Maybe now that maybe we'll see this in episode 7, because now that one's been killed, Tabitha will be like, if they can kill one, I know where they sleep, and tell that information to.
Do you think they give that information up to everybody that we kill one? Is it like going to be like a Roman parade where they take the body and transport it around, have a parade
Like
with
the
the body
like,
of 9 months, and everyone claps? We got one. We
we
got
got
one.
one.
Ah,
Our,
we got one. We
our
got one.
team
Are
won,
they-
Tony. Last
are they
second
gonna
shot.
do
Derek White hit it. It's great. Sorry.
Are they going to do that, or are they going to just keep this between them?
Ooh, we've
right
got
now?
some people in the live chat that have seen the trailer. Someone says next week it's in the trailer. They march it in town like the British with William Wallace's corpse. They're like we got it, freedom, this motherfuckers. So let's play the rest of this person's message. Sorry to cut you off. 386.
But it's still coming from the forest. Why don't Tabitha just say something? Then they can just lock up that entrance from the forest, and then they should be able to travel at nighttime, and maybe that's the way out. But good podcast. I fuck with y'all boys. Peace.
Thank
That's
you.
what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, you know, listen, we've seen. I mean, there's a movie back in the day called Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
And that was how the guy tried to stop the dragon. He did a big earthquake spell, the wizard, and it blocked the hole. Well, once that dragon got through that hole, he lit that town on fire. I just don't think it's going to be effective for them. We've seen these monsters have superhuman strength because they broke through the box
Yep.
to get that guy. They didn't open the door and say, "Hey, how you doing?" and came in. They ripped right through the walls, all of them, and grabbed his ass. We also seen them do that with the dude underneath of the stuff this season. They went in there and grabbed him. So that they have, and again, and that was also a lunge that monster did to reach him and everything else. So I don't think that would work. You know what I mean? The only thing that works when you hear them say capitalize is they got to do an autopsy. And the actress said it. I'm telling you, if you watch my video, all right, Phil, I'm going to
I'll
the scene for the video. I'll be back. You hold it down. I'm gonna
please do. I'll take some chats, and we'll pop into a couple of voicemails here. What we'll do is we'll take a little break and play the voice at 916's message for everyone. Let everyone listen.
Hello, this is the voice at 916. Hello, Tony. Hello, Phil.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Boy, this was an outstanding episode. The hype was right. Really enjoyed it. Donna said in this episode, if we weren't afraid, we wouldn't know how to be brave. Well, what happens if you're not afraid? Like Randall. Is he a hero?
I want to be a hero.
Anyway, I really enjoyed the role of Elgin in this episode. He seems like the quiet hero. He jumped into action by going to get the van and getting Fatima and Ellis to the clinic. That really showed outstanding, quiet heroism. But then on the other side, Elgin was in the kitchen right when all the action jumped off with Dale and the knife stabbing Ellis.
That goes into what someone in the live chat, Tutal, just said, voice 916, not necessarily trusting everything about Elgin.
Did he have foresight? He, meaning Elgin, have foresight into what was going to happen and how he needed to get Ellis?
I think so. And I'm sorry, I'm having like an impromptu conversation with you, voice 916. I think so. I feel like he saw some sort of premonition that he knew he could survive that situation, or he saw them at a later date and knew that they would be okay.
And Fatima to the clinic? Because if that's so, what does that mean? Is he for good? Is he for bad?
Exactly, Derek. I think his dreams gave him a lot of info.
Or is he neutral?
And Elgin is acting weird, Esso.
Or is he just a hero? But in any case, Donna, she is the one. She always knows how to handle a situation and explain things to anyone in a way that they can understand. With Ethan, the tenderness and gentleness and patience. And with Randall, an axe to the wall. She knows how to deal with it.
She does.
She's the woman. Anyway, it was a really good episode, and I enjoyed your breakdown, Tony, this afternoon. And I'm curious to hear more of your theories and ideas. And to the community, keep them coming. This was a good episode, so we have lots to talk about. Anyway, signing out, the voice at 916. Stay sexy. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you. We definitely will stay sexy. Now, again, to go through everything that she said in a second, but I told y'all I did the video on that it was going to be an alien autopsy, and I got that from what this woman said. Now, remember what we just said in the episode. It said in the description, it said that they attempt to capitalize on the apparent death. And this is what she said. Let's pull this up on the screen real quick. This is what she said on Instagram Live. Can you hear it? I should have made sure you can hear it. Let's go through it. I think that's her role there. Not just to mess things up for Kenny, which she did, but I think she's there to help perform an alien autopsy. And I think we get proof from this from the actress herself. When she went on Instagram Live, she said something that made me think of this thing 100%. And let me play exactly what she said. Now, while on Instagram Live, she was asked the question, does your character get to kick some ass this season? And this is the answer she gave back.
Good question. She definitely tears something open. I'll leave it at that.
Now maybe it's me. Right. I mean,
okay.
I mean, what is she talking about here?
I can't wait to get her on next week. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I would have to say that, you know what I mean, that if she's tearing something open, we just have the death of this monster.
Yeah, there's
she says something. She's not talking about taco. You know what I mean? She's tearing something open. She about to tear this dude open.
Tony, I also feel like they've had them disappear at this point. So if you look it up now, it just says episode 2.7. I also feel in my memory that 2.7 has a title that's something along the lines that hints to that as well. It's like called Going Inside or Looking Inside. They're in the belly of the beast or so. It has a name like that, or to the effect, just to add more credibility to that situation. Let's take a lot more voicemails. We got a lot of voicemails. Keep them coming. 781-990-8509. Now's the time to call in. Area code 201.
Yeah, Trooper, Senior, New Jersey. Man, these monsters, man, be freaky.
Freaky bastards.
But why did they waste all of the worms on that one dude? They should have spread the worms out. You think maybe they can harvest some of those worms from that body? Peace.
Okay, we've talked about this. We've hinted at this. There's no way to get more worms, is there, Tony?
Unless they're in that body. You know what I mean? If there's no blood in this guy's body, from what we've seen underneath Boyd's skin and into his bloodstream, because, you know, that's how he was able to get him out. My blood is your blood. If there's no blood in this body, they should just be swimming around inside this decayed body.
And Christy can kind of put them, and I've called her Christy a couple of times. Christy can put them in a jar of some sort. I want to see Jade getting some of this information and see what he runs with.
We had, you know, references of worms. Boyd said, you know, you can cut them in half and because they're creepy.
Yeah, and they'll
so maybe you can just keep harvesting and start cutting them in half and keep making more. And then, but if this is the only thing that gives me pause on this is that it's too easy to kill these monsters now, and the show is just about over.
I think they're not necessarily going to be able to harvest the worms from the corpse of Smiley, but it's certainly a possibility. They could try to find that area again and get more worms. Maybe that's something that can come into play later down the road. But also, I don't think Boyd knew it was going to work 100%. So he's not going to save any of them, and he wanted to transfer them out. My question
his pull-out game is weak. He's trying to say he wasn't trying to pull out here.
No, he wasn't trying to pull out. He was trying to breed those worms into Smiley. So it's interesting to me to think, could they? I mean, if they harvest those worms. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you, Tony. Do you think it's just the blood transfer, or do the words have to be said too?
I think it's just a blood transfer. I think that was for dramatic purposes that they had to say the same line and everything else. But it's not a magic spell. It's just a blood transfer. And someone saying Boy could still have some of his body. No, because Ellis would have it. So that was the whole purpose of getting them all out. So he doesn't have in his body.
Right.
Ellis doesn't have. That was
And
the
do you
whole purpose of it.
and I know you tend to think that maybe the spider bites added cure to the Parkinson's. I don't know if
It
you
did.
change your perspective. Do you
Nope.
think he'll? So you think he'll still be cured of Parkinson's?
Yeah, it was a spider bites, 100%. It
And we
wasn't. It wasn't the worms at
and
all. It was the
and
spider.
what's awesome is we will now they're setting up a situation where we'll get that answer as well. This is from our good buddy in the live chat, Drunk Bishop.
Hey, it's Drunk Bishop from Florida. I've noticed that we don't get to see any point of view from the monsters in the show. What do you think about this? Does this mean that the monsters are in on the mystery, or are they just as clueless as the other characters? Thanks.
I think they're just as clueless as the other characters. I think you see that in that scene when the worms killed them. They didn't know what the fucking worms were. They didn't think of Boyd as as a threat. And people that in that scene, I understand them not Smiley not immediately killing. They set up earlier in the season that he likes to play with his food before or not that he eats them, but I just mean play with his food before he disposes of them. Like he did with the older couple in the car. Like there's precedent for this. When we see the other people from the bus walk up to that person, they basically give one of them a hug or something for a second before one of them kills them at one point in the season when Fatima's having her breakdown looking outside.
Mhm.
So I do think they've made a point. Maybe that's a change in the monsters that they've been in. That it's too easy for them now. So they're playing with their food a little bit too
Yeah,
much.
we've seen it with Trudy, right? Before they killed Trudy, they all surrounded her. They touched her clothes. Smiley touched her clothes and everything else, and that's the way it was. So there was no threat. They never had to be afraid of these people before. So there's no threat. Again, if you want to call in on the bottom of the crawl, you can see it right there. It's in Bridge 4 Blue. Call in 781-990-8509. If you're overseas, use the issues guy at gmail.com.
Yeah, and
Right
I don't
there.
want to talk about another show right now, but if you're watching Succession, definitely check out our podcasting brother, Bridge
Yeah,
4, who's doing
100%.
the best Succession coverage around. So area code 314.
Hi, Tony. Hi, Phil. This is Kimberly R. Smart Curl Art. I'm calling from St. Louis.
St. Louis.
I just wanted to say, Tony, you're right. They showed the preview for the next episode, and it looks like we're going to get that alien autopsy after all.
Kimberly,
I don't know why people doubt me, Phil.
Yeah, I'm saying Kimberly just said your favorite words in the English language. You and Joe have the same. Tony, you were right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a bubble coming out of this girl's mouth behind me that says "You're right," and just put it in there and change the background because that's what it is. And I don't know why y'all doubt me and everything. Hey, let me take your question because you seen you put it up here a couple of times. So I'm gonna highlight it so make sure we don't forget it and everything. But why y'all doubting me, man? I've done nailed a lot of this shit already, and I know y'all want me to eat the chip and everything else. It's not happening, man. Not happening. We're getting the alien autopsy. We're getting it. I told you. I gave you proof. And the whole thing is when I give you proof, I don't just say it because I think it's some mythological shit. I give you what the show is giving you. And that's the way I always do it. The question from A is why would monsters die from blood with worms?
I wondered this thing as well. So if they don't, I'm just speculating here, Tony, if they don't have blood to feed on, they just immediately destroy the host.
You would think that's what it is. What we know about those blood worms is that they were feeding on the dude and they were giving him long life, right? So if they don't have no blood to go into, they probably just kill whatever's there. It was a gagging, it was a choking. That's what it said. He was choking, so he choked to death, and that's what it was in the end. So it had something to do with him choking to death. You choke him to death, And again, when we deal with the ballerina, what did the ballerina try to do with the boy? Smother him, right? Tried to choke him and everything else. And it also seen the worms coming out of her mouth, right? So it was a whole 360 thing here with the worms going inside of this guy's mouth, basically through his neck and choking him out. Luna, thank you for the super chat. Could the monsters be android? And the worms could be an electrical shut off for them. I mean, they could be.
It's possible, yeah. If you want to go
find out when they're chopping this motherfucker open, man.
Oh, definitely. No spoilers, nothing like that. We all know, as people said they've seen the preview for next. Yeah, there's a 0% chance that they're not. I don't know if I said that correctly. They're definitely doing it. They're definitely goddamn doing it.
Yeah.
I just had a Yosemite Sam moment. I don't know what I'm saying, but they're definitely doing it. So area code 647.
Hey, this is Dwayne from Toronto.
Welcome, Dwayne.
I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on Christy's girlfriend, because you guys saw how she was looking so sad at the end of the episode to the locked cabinet of medicine.
Sorry.
Like, what do you guys think will happen going forward? Is she gonna steal the key? Or, more interestingly, I was thinking like she might actually go to the old lady's house and break into her house and steal her medicine. I could definitely see that happening, or and then overdose.
Oh, that's
she's
not
gonna
funny.
end up overdosing, and now Kenny's free to be with Christy, but yeah, I can definitely see her overdosing and stealing medicine from either the medical facility or the old lady's house. Like, what do you guys think would happen with her?
Tony, junkie's gonna junkie.
Yep. And usually how they go out is overdoses. That's usually what gets them in the end. So it could be, listen, all right. If you don't want Kenny to be with her, this is how you do it. This is how it doesn't work.
Oh, if everything's
Yeah,
everyone hates Kenny.
if Kenny's never gonna be with this chick, and it's not gonna happen, this is how it's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you right now how they're gonna play it. She's gonna cheat with Kenny, and then the girlfriend's gonna see it. She's gonna watch him kiss Kenny or do something, smack Kenny on the ass, whatever she does, tickle his tail, whatever it is. She's gonna, and the girlfriend's gonna catch it, which will lead her to overdosing, and then she's gonna feel so guilty she can never be with Kenny, and that ends that whole situation.
Yeah, that would be a case. I tend to think it's gonna go the route that, unfortunately, Mari is gonna blow herself up because she got introduced to this place to cause junkie problems, and that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. And she's going to break into that damn cabinet. So to answer your question, 647, I think someone said it in the live chat, and I'm stealing their thunder. Nothing good's going to happen. Nothing good's happening from Mari Ellen.
Yeah, no, Mary Ellen ain't making it, man. She out this episode. She out this season. A lot of people are gonna die this season, but she out. She definitely out.
She's definitely. I agree.
She's not making it to next season. I guarantee you, she's not going to make it to next season.
So this is from 504.
Hey, this is Miss T. My question is, do we think that the leaves coming off the trees and falling and changing means that the experiment or game has transformed or leveled up? Or do we think that that is a sign of the coming of the end? What do we think that that stands for? And last thing, Boyd does have O negative, so if he still has worms, do you think that they would possibly try to give everybody some blood? Thanks again, guys. Bye.
Yeah, O negative, you can go into anybody, right?
I think you can. It's a universal donor, but you can't receive everything. I think Emily in the live chat.
You can just give it. No, he doesn't have any worms.
Universal
Else would have them. So I think that's done there. What was the other question that she said?
The leaves and everything changing. Do we think
I think
level up?
it's over. I think that the season is over and they're gonna kill everybody, wipe the board clear, and start again.
Ooh, Gift Revolver has it. If Tony's the mole, he knows too much. I think
I am the mole. I mean, I don't know how y'all didn't see that. From the
Yeah, how are
beginning.
you only figuring that out now?
Yeah, I've been the mole from day one. That's the
Jesus.
way it
And
is.
this is what we know. Okay, area code 510.
Yo, this is Pump the Brakes. My man actually saw the music box before he got hit with the worms. So I don't think the worms are what's causing him to see things, because he saw the music box before the worms got into him. Love the podcast. Keep doing what you do. This is my favorite thing to do, y'all. Love it. Peace.
Oh, thank you, man.
No doubt. But I appreciate the call and everything. Yes, he's seen the physical music box because it was physically there, because it was used as a timing system by Martin, by the creatures who were keeping Martin captured. And he said specifically when the music stops playing, that's when they show up. But he didn't start seeing the chick until he got the worms in his body.
Yep.
So he did see the physical music box, but the chick, the real live chick, he ain't seen her until the worms came in his mouth.
So yes, we all know a baby is coming. She's so emotional. He also saw his wife before the worms, who will die. Fatima's doing something stupid and trying to save her. I wonder. You also meet in the left chat. Tony, did you say you got your talisman on Etsy? I didn't know. Does Tony have a talisman? But I do know some people do make them on Etsy. You can find them if you look enough. And I know the show has sent a few people a few talismans. I've heard a couple of people talk about that actually.
Yeah, they ain't send me shit, the show, guys.
Yeah, they didn't send either of us any.
I contacted them too, and them bastards told me no. They're like, we don't have any right now, but
I know they gave a few people
I
talismans.
know they did because I've seen them people posted them on Facebook. But
Yep, me too, Tony. I saw the same
thing. I see you, buddy. All right, don't lie to me. But yes, I ordered it on Etsy. I could get the link to the lady who does it. Red Lipstick Club, if she was here, she's the one who gave it to me. But yeah, there's a lady who has them on Etsy, and I think I bought 2, and she only had like 3 left. But I'm sure she's gonna re-up it.
Yeah, she'll probably make more knowing the popularity of this show.
It says like when you go on Etsy, hot item. Like, so people have got that. I got mine hanging up in my doorway right now, right at the front door. It's hanging up there.
So good. That's the place it should be, Tony. Let's listen to a little bit of here on Stop Me If You Want here. This is because it's a little bit of a longer message. Area code 305.
Good evening,
Oh, it's so
Teflon TV. Hey, Tony. Hey, Phil. Welcome back, Phil. By the way, Phil, your Orlando drunk bit was hilarious. I watched it a couple of times and you made me laugh so hard.
Thank you.
Anyway, I hope you guys are doing okay. What a great episode, right? I was on the edge of my seat watching the show. Also, I can't wait to see Christy come on. And I was wondering if you guys had any plans on having Ellis come on or AJ.
So I think I'll answer for this. We would love to have anyone. Tony's working hard to get anyone and everyone we can. We'll get as many people as we can for these last few episodes. We'll do what Tony's doing his best. I'm saying we like I have anything to do with it. It's all Tony. So so Tony is working hard, and I know we have Christy next week, and hopefully we'll have a couple more guests before the end of the season as well.
Christy next week, I can almost guarantee we'll have Elgin on too. So we'll have Elgin on, maybe the week after, but we'll definitely have Elgin on, and we'll have Christy next week. And
yeah, so those two are pretty much almost guarantees for the.
Christy's guaranteed. That's done.
And then Elgin is very possible. And we'll work hard on other people. And also in the off season, we'll work hard to get more people on, people that we haven't got, and maybe touch in with some other folks here.
Yeah, we'll have Liz on before the season ends. You know, we're gonna do a wrap up. We're gonna do 2 wrap ups. All right, we'll do 2 wrap up videos. We're gonna do one video, Phil and I, and Elamar, if she can make it, of course. And we're gonna do it with as many actors as we can get on. I'm gonna try to get on the whole cast if I can, and I'll do it on StreamYard because I know we could hold 10 people on there.
Yeah.
So I'll move everything to StreamYard for that one. I'm gonna try to get as many as I can, or as many to do a rap season. And then we're gonna do another one with a few YouTubers and podcasters that I promised that I would have on. I've been talking to someone contacted me, and someone I forgot the name of his channel right off the back of my head. But we're gonna do something else with that too. So
Yeah, and I might have someone I want to suggest for that. Our buddy Troy, who checks stuff out as well, who's an amazing journalist about and interviewer himself as well. So area code 305. Mika, let's continue.
Also, I was wondering, what was my question? I was wondering if maybe you guys are still thinking about having a party watch for next future episodes. I don't really have anything extra to say right now. Kind of not so good of a mood. So maybe you can make a joke, make me laugh or something.
So, I mean, I think the live watches are fun to do, but it's right before we start, so it's tough to do a live watch right at 9 to like stream while we're doing it. Maybe I'll pop on a live cam on my channel when Tony and I are doing our pre-show, as we tend to have a cool conversation with the cast member before we start and give a little tease over there or something. But I think for the most part, I can't speak for Tony, but I don't think we'll probably do many like live watch sessions because everyone kind of watches the show at a different time, and right 9 o'clock is tough when we come on right at 10.
Yeah, it's hard to do the live watch. It's not if the app only let them out. Like, so when we did the live watch with like Game of Thrones or something, they released it at the same time. It was at 9 o'clock, right? So that's when but the fact that the app releases it at 12:01 in the morning and people stay up to watch it and everything else, it's hard to do. I'd love to do it. Maybe we'll do it at the end of the season. We'll try to work that out.
Yeah, or we could do an off-season thing where we watch a couple of episodes live, you and me, and just to kind of keep some fun in the off-season. We sync up and we do a live watch or some stuff.
Yeah, we could definitely run. Let's take this super chat here. We got a super chat from E-Man. E-Man's movie reviews, and he says, just wanted to show some support for the channel. Good stuff on the From coverage. I truly appreciate it, E-Man, 100%, and everything else. If people are looking for superhero content, mostly Black Panther content and everything else, I do believe he's covering From now also. But if you're looking for coverage too, definitely check out E-Man's reviews out there and stuff like that. I see him all the time, and he does a great job, especially if you're into any Marvel or DC or any comic book stuff. Show that brother some love and subscribe to his channel. And if you're into From, show him some love and go over there and help that brother out and watch some of it. Truly appreciate it, bro. Hopefully we get him on when we do a stream with all the other YouTubers. Maybe he'll rock with us and then come on in.
Shorty, we definitely really want Kenny. I think he knows about the Kenny doesn't get any ass, and he's
Kenny knows about Kenny ain't getting no ass. Like,
he's a funny guy. He does a lot of comedy. I don't think he did stand up. We said he did stand up, but he's like a quick-witted, funny, hilarious dude. I've seen him on other stuff, and I have a feeling if he comes on, he's coming hard.
Pause on that, Phil. Pause on that thing.
But he's coming hard. Okay,
so pause again on that.
Exactly.
I mean, if he is, he ain't got that on my show. All right, he got to do that on his own time in his bed.
Oh, I love Kenny. We want Kenny more, but he's definitely like tops the list. We'll work hard to get him. I'm gonna try to touch base with Kenny too.
Yeah, pause again on that, Phil. I know you don't get what I'm saying or what it is and everything else. If there's any, let's put it like this: if there's anything that you say that sounds that could be taken a different way,
yes, I understand.
You got to say pause at that. So it's not taken.
So it's not taken in that other way.
Heroes game is like no pause, like cut.
Oh no! I'm no pausing that. I'm no pausing that.
I'm gonna reach out. It's hard for me. I'll reach out to Kenny. We'll get him on. We'll get him on. I'm pretty sure he'll definitely come on. He's a good guy. Right. But right now we got Christy, the actress. She'll be here next week, rocking with us, and we'll have Elgin on, and we'll get Kenny on here. You know what I mean? And then we'll get Harold on here too. When the season's over, we'll have Harold on here.
And yes, chat, I'm going full no pause here. So area code, we're gonna do Kenny. So area code 305. No pause. Area code 305.
I'd love to come on
That time was intentional, Tony.
and hang out.
I get it now.
Guys, one episode. Give me a shout out and have a great.
We love you, Mika. Thank you so much for calling on in. This is area code 646.
Hello, Phil. Hello, Tony. This is Marcus from New York.
Welcome, Marcus.
My kind of theory I've been having is that I think the faraway trees aren't as random, and I think they're actually a good thing. And the reason I think that is because the few times we've seen people go through the faraway trees, it seems like it's been taking them places where they need to go. Like when Julie went down there, went in there, kind of brought her, like she went out of the closet and like she was kind of safe. Same with Sarah when she went through the church. Boyd, he went to the place with Martin and got the worms, and after that, the creatures kind of didn't bother him or anything like that. And then another thing is Victor. Victor said when he was explaining it to Ethan that they're random, but when he put the apple through, it fell right down. And I'm like, if it's really that random, that's such a coincidence that it would do that. But I think it's aware that Victor wanted to show Ethan, and it made it go, drop from the sky just to show Ethan to clarify, like, hey, yeah, it actually does transport things. But yeah, I'm starting to think that I think it is a good thing. But the only thing against it is Martin, because he got trapped and then he got like chained up. But everyone else who went through it seems like it's a good thing. It's bringing them where they need to be.
What do you think about that, Tony?
Yeah, no. So number one, he must be a fan of the channel. I appreciate it because I've said all this before in my videos. Listen, it's not random because when Victor put the rock, it wasn't an apple, it was a rock in there. But I know that's what you meant. He put the smiley face on it. He says it's random, and he dropped it in there, and it dropped 2 feet in front of him. So it's being controlled. They're not far away trees. They're not trees. It's not magic. It's technology. It's a teleportation device that's being manned by somebody, and they're sending people the way where they want them to go. And that's the bottom line. So Martin, he said that's how they get you. That's how they trap you. That's how he got caught. It sent him somewhere he didn't want to go. I think the guy in Jade's vision that they show with the boulder in them went through a faraway tree, and they stuck him inside that boulder, and that's how he got put up in that rock. So I think someone's controlling the faraway tree and putting them where they could be. Is it the boy in white? Does he have some type of powers to affect where stuff goes sometimes or override the people who are doing it? Because he has the faraway tree power without being in the tree. He has that technology. Maybe it's in his white clothes. Maybe it's those little knickers. Is that what they call knickers? Those little shorts that he wears and stuff like that. Maybe it's in that, or maybe he has a button, something that he's pushing there, something like that. But it just seems like that's what's going on there. You know what I mean? So it's not random at all. Don't. It makes you think it's random, but it's not random. And to think, if you look at that poster that's inside the truck, I think it shows what faraway tree takes you. Like it shows you this tree would take you here, this tree would take you there, everything. Yeah, I said knickers. I can say what I want, man.
I'm not saying it. So
what am I supposed to call those? Hoochie daddy shorts that he's rocking? I had to help the boy in white's on that hoochie daddy style. You know what I mean? I don't know what he's doing. He's in the NBA.
Yeah, the New York Knickerbockers. He's wearing his knickerbockers.
So I think that's what's going on there. So I support everything you're saying, but 100%, it's not random.
People in the chat are killing me tonight, Tony. Eric, this is area code 919.
Hey everyone, peace and blessings. Happy Sunday to y'all. Happy Memorial Weekend. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Phil. This has been a really awesome show. Like I said, I have been missing out on some of the lives, but I finally got into the show and binge watched it all. And it's fantastic. I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, I think Elgin is seeing future sight, something similar to Sarah. Like is getting more and more powerful. He's thinking and it's his
So
voice
can
and
you
his
stop it real
confidence
quick
when
right there,
somebody's
Phil?
absolutely.
controlling.
All right, so let's make a distinction right now between Elgin and Sarah.
Yep.
Sarah is being fed information. What they said with what Sarah was, she was the first one they were able to contact since this whole time. So whoever is talking to her is telling her things, and they're not showing her visions. They're giving her information. It's like they gave her information. They able to possess her body and force her to draw the picture of the candy bar, right? So Elgin's not being possessed like that. Elgin's seeing
He's
visions,
seeing visions. I
right?
would
So Sarah's not really seeing visions. They're talking through Sarah. That's why I said in my video that if Jade wants to know what that symbol means, he needs to ask Sarah,
yeah.
because then they will tell Sarah what it is. She's, if you ever seen like the movie The Others by Nicole Kidman,
Yep.
and they had the lady who was talking to the dead, and she was, "Why are you here?" Sarah's the goddamn Ouija board. That's the best way I could say it, right? Sarah is the actual physical Ouija board. They're talking through Sarah and stuff. So that's the difference between what Elgin's happening. He's being shown. He's seeing visions. He's visions. He's not over here talking to them directly. Sarah's talking to them directly.
I wonder where Abby, Boyd's wife, fits into that, into the how she was sort of taken by them, or did she just being in that place, the pressure of it got to her specifically, and that was her snapping within herself, or if she was possessed in a sense, in a way like Sarah was to a certain extent. But I don't, or maybe it was just different. It was more akin to like when they talk to you outside a window and they try to get you to come in and they fuck with your brain, like what happened to Fatima. So, or what seems to be happening to Fatima. So we probably won't get more information about that, but I wonder sometimes if she had any connection to this place as well. If she was a little bit like Elgin and she could kind of see between the lines and had some sort of something going on that caused her to feel a little bit more easily manipulated by it.
Yeah, I said I was going to talk about this a little earlier, but we're talking about moles and people bringing up moles. I hear Donna being the mole and everything else. It's going to be Kenny's mom is the mole. I'm telling you. And Kenny gave it away this episode, right? I'm telling you, this is what's going to be. Remember, I said this, and I'm going to make a video about it and everything.
Oh, this is what you wanted. Is this what you wanted to talk about with Boyd in the clinic and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I'm going to do a mole video tomorrow about breaking down the mole. And I'm going to give you all a sneak preview that I believe that's Kenny. I told her when she came on here last week. They're not, Phil. I told her right in the face that I believe that she's the mole, right?
She said, "Really?"
And yeah, she said, "Really?" with her little mushroom tea.
Yeah, and in fairness, we had that discussion before our show started too, where she mentioned maybe I'm who knows.
So I think Kenny said specifically in this episode, he says, Boyd's acting like my father acted before he passed away, right?
Yep.
And that's so Boyd had the blood worms in him, and she said he's acting like my father acted before he passed away. What if she put the worms in her husband and they affected him negatively because he didn't have this right blood type? And because his blood type wasn't O negative, that's why they affected him and gave him the Alzheimer's. And that's what it was. Because she says, she felt really bad about putting him in there. She felt guilty about doing it. I think that's what's going on, and I think that's why she's the mole and everything else. That's what I'm going to put in there. But I'll do a whole video and everything else and stuff like that. But that's one of the points I'm going to point out.
You keep
I have more points too, but I'm telling you,
giving us a little tease of the video. A asks, anyways, this episode gave us a clue on the worms kill the monsters, but why? We talked about a little bit that earlier, but I think our working speculation is if they feed off blood, these blood worms to keep things alive, if the monsters have no blood, they would just immediately kill the host, or possibly the worms. I meant to say this earlier, possibly the worms, when they have nothing to feast on, they just self-destruct to a certain extent and kill the host. So we'll find out if the worms are retrievable within Smiley in the next episode, or if they've the worms completely exploded and destroyed the creature's insides, or like whatever we hear will probably dictate that more. We'll know more next week is basically what I'm saying. It's one of those things that's it's fun to speculate, but we're gonna get that answer. It's very quickly.
Yeah, somebody's in here loving the hoochie daddy wear, saying that men need to expose their thighs to the sun. Listen, y'all in there hoochie daddy should be in it.
Yeah, wear
I'm
those
from the
knickers.
90s. I'm from a different generation. So I'm from the 90s. I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we had more baggy pants in the 90s.
Yeah, so I'm
Cargo
still on,
pants,
I'm still on my 90s stuff. I upgraded a little bit. It's not as big as it used to be. I ain't wearing no Jankos and nothing like that. Ain't nothing like that. But they still ain't no skinny jeans. I got too much I'm working with for skinny jeans. They don't work with me. This is not gonna work. So I can't rock that type stuff and everything. I just stay where I'm at and stuff. But yeah, when dealing with the show, also, Phil, a lot of people complained that the show wasn't giving them answers.
Mhm.
Do you think that this is the downhill roller coaster? As we said, we reached the top and now we're going down the roller coaster and we're going to keep getting answers every episode from here on out.
I hope so. I hope the rest of this season is just balls to the wall. Like that it's that we this is the starting point, that we just keep going. We know that, again, this isn't any spoiler stuff. It's just stuff that they put out there in the public. Episode 9 and 10 are one seamless episode in some ways. So I think 7 and 8 could theoretically be set up for these next two episodes, but I think we're setting up enough interesting stuff. Sarah needs to be dealt with. We need that Sarah situation to come to a head. Okay, we didn't talk about this, Tony, but we'll get to the rest of 919's voicemail and the rest of the voicemails in a second. But when it comes to Sarah and Kenny with Boyd and stuff, so he's just gonna allow Sarah to. You think Kenny, not all's forgiven, but he's gonna submit to Boyd right now?
He's back on the block. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's back in his sixth.
Kenny coming in with the work gear. When they can get out now, listen, it may not be next episode because listen, it seems like as from what we've seen from the show, they pick up directly where the episode ends. So if they're going to perform this autopsy, they're gonna have to drag this body in. So Kenny might not be able to go home and change his clothes.
No.
But when he gets a chance to change his goddamn clothes, he's going right back to the deputy uniform.
I agree. I think the episode starts with them dragging Smiley in the sun or looking down on him in the sun. They tend to do that. I agree, Tony. One thing I really love about this show is they don't seem to drag stuff too long, and they deal with what happens at a cliffhanger at the end of the episode at the beginning of the next episode. They don't waste any goddamn time. They always go right into it, and I appreciate that.
100% on that. I like the format of the show and how they do it. Pick up right where they left off.
Yep.
I don't like time skips and time jumps. Like pick up right from there and let's just keep it moving.
Someone asked if I think Kenny could be the mole. I do not think Kenny is a mole.
No, it's the mom. Kenny, I'm telling you, that's what the tragedy is going to be. That she sacrificed her husband. Now she might think that she was saving his life. Maybe they told her it would work on him and stuff like that. And it didn't work because they didn't have the right blood type. But now maybe they got boy's blood, and they realized the O negative affects these parasites this way.
Yeah.
This blood type affects the parasites this way. This blood type does this way. And it's just doing the whole experiment on the whole situation.
This episode definitely opens up a lot of interesting questions moving forward. Area code 919. Let's continue.
On him, I think he saw something at the lake. And that's how he knew that Fatima and Ellis were going to make it, but he needed to jump in somehow. And I think Donna, if she does pass in the show, I think it's going to be to try to save Ethan. Did y'all ever find out what those kids were saying to Tabitha?
Amadubi or what was it, Tony?
It was
Barim you zombie
troop. It was
Kui. Someone in the live chat. Someone in the live chat's gonna say it in a second.
Someone told me, hit me up and said it was like Greek, and it
Yeah.
meant like listen or
Yeah,
pay
listen.
attention.
Yeah, that's what I saw that on Reddit post as well. It was something like if you translate it roughly, it could be something like listen to me. But we don't know that for a fact. Those kids are coming back. There's again, I don't want to say things like this and be wrong and eat chips, but there's a 0% chance that those kids aren't showing up again before the end of the season in Tabitha's vision.
Guarantee. You don't just bring them in there and take them off.
Dude,
They didn't do anything yet.
Yeah, she's seeing them every day. You know, she's seeing those things every day. We're just not seeing it necessarily. So let's continue with 919's message. Sorry.
Force, was that a translation for that word? I think that's also another key. And if Christy had to choose between her fiance and or saving Kenny, who do you think she would choose? Thank y'all. Peace and love to everybody. I really enjoyed the show.
Oh man.
And I'm excited for more. Peace.
Dude, that's awesome.
No doubt. I think she'd choose a fiance. You would have to choose a fiance, right?
It depends.
If you have a fiance and you choose somebody over your fiance, that really ain't your fiance.
I know, but Tony, there's certain situations that caller made me percolate about a possibility that this show could do because they pulled off what they pulled off tonight. Because this show pulled off that bloodworm scene where he needs a transfusion and Boyd has the bloodworms and setting up situations like that. If you set up a situation where somehow Christy's fiance causes the problem that puts both Kenny and her at risk, and you put Christy in a situation where she has to decide to save Mary Ellen, who caused the problem to begin with, or Kenny, who got wrapped up in it somehow, she'll probably save Kenny. And then have to just say goodbye to the person that messed up the situation. I wonder. I think it's an interesting question. I think she might choose Kenny just to take the devil's advocate side of it.
Yeah, I can't see if that's your fiance, you can't choose anyone over your fiance. That's what it is. That's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? Then that's really not a fiance. Then if that's the case, you know what I mean.
But
she wasn't waking up in no damn flash dance shirt with Kenny, right? She was waking up in the flash dance shirt with her. You know what I mean? So I would have to say she's rocking with her, I would think.
Exactly, Emily. Like, all I'm saying, Tony, is what Emily said. It depends how the fiance get them in trouble. If she did a situation where she breaks into the cabinet, does a bunch of morphine, and fucks up and leaves the door open, and some people get hurt, and blah blah blah, and somehow
in reality, you run with your fiance. Listen, is the bottom line, you know, as it was said in The Wire so eloquently by Slim, and he said it straight up, you know, if you lie, we fight on that lie.
Yep.
And that's just what it is, right? If it's your fiance and you do something fucked up, I got your back through anything.
Tony,
no matter what, I'm running with you.
In reality, I do tend to agree with you. Like I said, I'm just kind of arguing the devil's advocate of the situation. And I'm not doing it strong because I tend to agree with you in the situation. If that's really her person, you always defend your person in public situations and you always save them in those situations. And even if they're, you know, I don't know. But it's an interesting question, 919. Very good question. Let's go to area code 276.
Yeah, this is Doug from Virginia. I think that Smiley, the night walker that got killed, and during the day when the daylight comes, he'll be woken up and he'll be normal like the rest of them.
A lot of people are on this, Tony.
Scar heel or boy cut.
Thank you for the call, buddy. And Doug, great call. And a lot of people are on this one, Tony. Him waking up
I
as
just
human.
don't see it. When I look at the episode title, it doesn't see it. I understand why it would work, but in the end, I'm gonna shoot you in the head because I can't trust you, bro. You know what I mean? I can't trust you. I don't care if now all of a sudden you come back and now you're a cast member. So let's look at how could that actually be run it. I don't know if the actor himself was a extra.
Yep.
Right. How many extras have been moved up to the main cast to become a part of the show in Hollywood and television show history? I'm not saying it's never happened, but I'm just saying when I look at it from that perspective, I don't see them doing that. Next, also, it says capitalize on the apparent death of this man. that how are they going to do that if he comes back as a regular person? So I don't think that those worms are a cure to turn them back to what they are. I just think again, the worms extend life. That's what they were doing. They extend life. And they probably do other things to other people, and they're experimenting on them and everything else. Maybe they have different parasites that turn people into that face. You know what I mean, and everything else. Again, when we deal with these creatures, we're seeing a lot of them from different time periods who life seemed like they could somehow have been extended. You know what I mean, and everything else. So that's what. Let me give a shout out to Diane Levada, House Blackwood, in the building, saying, "Hey Tony, great episode." Diane, what a great statement, and to the point. And I truly appreciate. I know Diane personally. That's why I'm talking like that. But I truly appreciate your comment and everything else and all that stuff. People asking, "What do you think about Fatima's pregnancy?" Let's go into that. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point it's sort of a wait and see situation, right, Tony?
Yeah, I think it's a wait and see situation. I know a lot of people, again, these questions that you ask, that people ask during the off season and everything else, don't think that the showrunners don't know the questions that are going to be asked and are going to get.
I don't know if you guys can hear. Tony's having a little bit of technical difficulties at the moment. I don't know if he's. I think you're back. I don't know. Can you guys hear Tony? I can't hear him right now. Yeah, he cut out. Okay, you're cut out for a second, Tony. But I'll babble until I hear. I'll babble till I hear you because I'm filling up the space. Let's listen to area code 404 while Tony's figuring out his audio. I still can't hear you at the moment, Tony.
Hey, this is Justin calling from Atlanta. It's really strange that these worms inside his blood acted more like I figured they would be like a contagion. Like if you pass it on,
I can hear you now.
It's still gonna be in you. But like it completely left him and went into the monsters. So it seems more like a curse that would either be like dispelled or passed on. So maybe the words did have something to do with it. There's a lot of mysticism and magic going on in this show as well, which I really, really like. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, that's what I was going for when I was asking Tony if the words had anything to do with it. I mean, I think there's several schools of thought to think about in the show. I know Tony and me to a certain extent more subscribe to that it's science, technology that's masking as magic to a certain extent. But even within that, you need to put in passwords and things to trigger things. So even if they are the words need to symbolize something to transfer these worms, it still could be a science thing because some words need to unlock the password to send them through. So I do think this show does a remarkably awesome job of sort of coupling something that could be viewed as magic or fairies or Greek something or other, and also to the point of every point that Tony makes has validity, that it could be everything could be explained with science too. And I think that's part of the beauty of what this show creates, Tony.
Yeah, I don't think it's magic, and I know that I've seen people do comments and say that the actor himself, Harold, who plays Boyd, has said something about it being magic. I even if he said that, I wouldn't believe. I wouldn't believe that is what it is. You know what I mean, and everything else. So I have no. I don't think that's what it's going on, and everything else. I just think that 100% that it's technology, it's science based. I mean, when you look at the description of the show, it's a science fiction horror. That's what they give you for a description. They don't just say that, and then all of a sudden it's going to be a magic wand, and it's coming out of here, and people are going to be catching for Lucas, and stuff is going to be coming out of here. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be that whatsoever. It's going to be technology. It's going to be science, and that's it. Again, people will tell you the line that magic is science that's undiscovered, right? So that's just what it's going to be when it's all said and done. So I can't see it being anything else but that, and that's it. And it's just an experiment as I told you from the jump. And Jim came out and said the same exact thing, same war and everything, right? And that's just what it is. You know what I mean? So in the end, it is what it is. The Norse god stuff. I've heard the theories and stuff like that, the mythology, the Norse mythology, and all this other stuff. It's not the symbols on the talisman that's keeping them from doing that, because we see the same exact symbols on the cave where the monsters are at. And Victor said that they drew that down there. They like to draw it too. So it's not the symbols that are on there that's preventing them from getting in. It could be that the rock there could be from a meteorite or something like that, or there's some embedded technology, or in the end, again, it could be a Truman Show situation where this
Yeah.
is just part of the game, and when that's there, you're not allowed to come in.
Exactly. Ghouls. So Luna, looks like magic could be science. There's a wonderful I mentioned it before, a wonderful Star Trek episode that deals with that, where they meet a society that thinks that they're dealing with a god, and Picard kind of breaks it all apart and is like, oh, this is all science. And he figures out how to do exactly everything she's doing with the Enterprise. And he kind of trolls her to show that, yeah, I'm a god too. Fuck you. And it could be something like that even in every existence, or it could be, as this caller hinted at. So let's get to area code 720.
Hello. Not my first time calling. I am a favorite and regular of the show. I'm so glad to see someone from the very beginning, season 1, still here. Anyway, I just have a comment that I think Boyd is going to be a great pop, but do we think that baby has any chance of surviving gestation, let alone birth?
I think that's ends the call.
Yeah.
I think that if she's pregnant, that is going to be the fastest pregnancy you ever seen. I think she's going to go from like baby bump to 8 months to 9 months within a couple of episodes. I think it'll just be a huge, really fast pregnancy, guaranteed. I think that's the way it's going to go down with it. I mean, we've already seen Ethan heal fast, and everything else. So I think that's what's going to be. Let's go through. I got super chat here, right here. From Wolfspear says, next round is on me. So we're gonna have to take a shot
Oh,
for
we have to take a drink in a second. Yeah.
and
we'll get
V
on that.
Love sent one saying, why did it have to be Smiley?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, and I'm hoping. I think, okay, a couple of things. One, we don't know if he's gone for sure all the way. Number two, if he was gone, it makes a lot of sense why they put him on the poster for this particular scene, because this scene might be, one of the, I'm not saying we're not going to have other strong points by the end of the season, but this was the big thing for this season, killing one finally, and his interaction with Boyd. So it makes sense that he would be on all the promotional material with this coming.
Yeah, especially with Boyd on the promotional material.
Yep.
As the guy touching and everything, you're touching the window with Boyd screaming from behind, and Boyd is the guy. That didn't sound right either.
Pause, Tony. Pause.
That was pause. That was some Oz shit right there.
See, yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Everybody have a flashback to Oz and shit.
Yeah, are you selling with the O'Reilly brothers now? What's going on here? Okay, so no pause, Tony. I've infected you with my no pause. This is a longer message, so definitely stop. Area code 573 that called in. I listened to your message, and unfortunately, it was we got a little static, a little miscommunication on that one. Sorry about that. 573. If you called in, I'll try to figure out if I can get. I'm going to listen to a little bit later in your message, see if I can get any of it in. But area code 937.
Sharon, Ohio.
Oh, I guess that was it on that one. Sorry, we had a board.
Well, thank you, Sharon from Ohio. We appreciate you.
Let me fast forward a little bit, see if we can get it. No, that was it. I think she got cut off, unfortunately. But let's see if I can get a little bit of 573's call here at the end.
Season, somebody makes a decision or something happens, and then they figure out the rest of the season or whatever building on that decision to see what's going to go on. You know, have these mystery box things. So, since we know that they're probably going to do an autopsy next episode, do you think that maybe it won't be really that they find out that more ways to use the worms or maybe get a limited supply, but maybe they just find out a way to domesticate, fight the monsters? Maybe it's something that simple where we're all scrambling trying to figure out what else we're going to do. All right, guys, can't wait to hear from you.
No, we need an upgrade now because now that we've seen the monster drop, so let's go through it. And Phil, you're an expert on The Walking Dead, especially when it was good, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
when
but-
first you seen the zombies come out, right? And when the zombies came out, and basically they figured out how to live with them, how to survive with them. What became the next threat in The Walking Dead?
the humans, but what I don't want to see happen with the show, and you hinted at it a couple times, Tony, that if they easily find a way to dismantle these particular creatures, it takes away a lot of the horror aspect of the fear of this, and we need to get an upgraded threat. I keep saying villain, but I mean threat that's going to feel dangerous while we're watching. The problem with The Walking Dead is the humans are the dangerous part. And I think this show can really play on that. But we also have to have the environmental stuff always be a problem. Learn from The Walking Dead's mistakes in the sense that they deballed took the fangs out of the walkers so much that they became an afterthought unless you got them in crazy numbers.
Yeah, the big hordes. And I think they did the same thing in Game of Thrones with the White Walkers. Once they kill them, it took the threat away from them. Once you knew how to kill them and everything else, and that's only not even 300 likes with over 400 people.
Well,
in there.
420 people watching. I know what I got to do for that.
Yeah, 100%. And so I want them to either show it as most shows would do, that the humans are the true threat, and start bringing in some humans and everything else and showing that, or they're going to have to just upgrade these monsters.
Yeah, upgrade the
somehow
monsters.
the talismans don't work. Somehow they're out in the daytime. They're gonna have to upgrade the monster.
Tony, speaking of human threats, people were asking about him earlier. It's died down a little bit, but we got a lot of chatter early on, and we couldn't mention him because it's not about the episode. Where was Randall? When are we seeing Randall? What's up with Randall's hatch on top of the roof? I kind of thought when we knew that a monster was going to potentially be captured or killed, I was convinced Randall was going to be a part of that. Is Randall that human threat possibly that you're alluding to here?
I think Randall is an idiot, and I think that not to accurate stuff, but I'm saying I don't think
we're talking about the character. We always mean the character.
I think Randall is just gonna blow shit up. He's too hot-headed. He's not going to handle things the proper way. He almost opened the door for those monsters. Like, he got so mad. So I don't think he thinks things.
So do you think he's like a Mark that's just waiting to be like?
I just don't think he thinks things through, and I think that he may come up with a plan to do something, but his hot-headedness will blow the plan.
Yeah,
like he's the type of guy like, oh, we get it. Like if you're in formation, I'll go to a Rome show. Rome, if you ever watched that, and there's a guy Titus Pulo in there, and they're in Roman formation. They're fighting the barbarians. But he's so hot-headed, he gets out of formation and jumps in there and starts fighting him by himself. And that's the type of guy I look at him as. That, they have a plan, stick to the plan, but he can't stick to the plan. He's going to do something.
He's going to Leroy Jenkins the whole situation.
Yeah,
those of you
just
that
mess
know
it
will
all
know
up.
what I'm talking about. Leroy Jenkins. Okay.
That's what I think of Randall.
So let's get to area code 713.
Yo, okay, I had to call in. This is your boy Heath,
Hey, what up,
aka
what up?
Tony Tampon, Tony of House Tampon. We
Whoa, I gotta. So as House Tampon, that's great.
pull the strings. And Tony, I just got a text message from this dude Kenny. He told me he about to pull up and fuck you up.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
Listen, tell Kenny come do it.
And then he continued. It's almost funny. I was gonna play this.
It is funny.
It looks
It
funny.
is funny.
Let's listen.
I don't know why couldn't you just respect his gangster? Why could you had to talk all this shit all night about Kenny? Now he texted me talking about he about to come fuck you up.
Come do it.
Tony, dog, just relax sometimes. And Phil, stop encouraging Tony.
Oh, come on.
Stop encouraging Tony.
I like
all
it.
right?
I like
okay? You make him feel more encouraged to talk all this shit. And now Kenny about to come over here and fuck Tony up.
Look, I mean, listen.
Love you guys. Just relax.
Kenny is a Muay Thai champion, Tony. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that smoke?
100%. 100%. I would be.
Great fun call. I thought it was a troll call at first, but
he's his cool people.
Yeah, that was a fun call. That was a fun call.
He's cool people and everything. Listen, no, I ain't worried about Kenny pulling up on me at all. I ain't worried about nobody pulling up on me. You know what I mean? This is New York City, Queens, New York.
He's in the chat. Good. Is Kenny in the chat right now? Okay, Kenny. Call on in, Kenny. Tony, you're muted again, unfortunately. I'll read this super chat while Tony's getting unmuted. Please, no human threats. I love the bond of humans versus creatures versus the unknown. No human threats out there out of Donna's husband and the Randall kid. So it's interesting, Jason. I kind of half agree with you that I want.
My check.
You're back. I kind of want the threat to stay humans, and then we have more outliers like Dale and Randall that you have to maneuver around rather than getting to a human threat. I'd rather the threat always be an upgraded form, but possibly maybe a human's behind this. We don't know. We don't know what's on the other side.
Well, Donna specifically said, you don't know that voice was human to Jen. That's what she specifically said. You don't know if that voice was human. They don't just say that just to say it. It's telling you something here. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. Jason H says, please, no human threats. I love the bond of human versus creatures versus the unknown. No human threats outside of Donna's husband. You have to have human. Humans are always the threat. That's the bottom line. If you go through it all, we are always the threat in the end. It's gonna be 100% something to do with human beings in the end, doing experiments and other things like that. So I just don't see how you get around that. I understand if you like the creatures and the unknown and everything else, but there's someone, as Martin said, they are just the tip of the spear, and there's somebody holding everything else up there and all that stuff.
To go to Tony tampons. Someone's holding those strings. So sorry, Tony. Area code.
That's funny. That was funny.
That was good. That was a funny call. It's 713. Area code 504.
Hey guys, it's Miss T again. What do you think they're gonna do about the food situation? How is that gonna work out? Thanks.
Do they start killing monsters and eating them?
Is it Yellow Jackets all over again? Are they pulling that Yellow Jackets?
Are they gonna do a Yellow Jacket thing?
I don't think it's going to be a major problem in the end. I think the flood's going to justify everything, wipe everything out when it's all said.
Bruzy says, just order some pizzas. Problem solved. I maybe delivery. Could a pizza driver show up from town? That'd be great. With
listen, they have a Domino's driver. Someone rock up in there at the end of the season. Like, we have no food, and all of a sudden,
Tony, that's me. I'm gonna be that's how I'm getting into town. I'm the Domino's driver.
That's how you do it.
Pizza dude is here. Hey, dude.
Yeah, that's how you run it when it's all said and done.
Pizza
we have no food, and the last seat of the season, pulling up to the diner, we got Domino's.
Me and the Domino's car comes up. Okay, that's great. Okay, area code 609.
Hey, Phil. Hey, Tony. This is Baby Girl from Jersey, the Jersey Shore. And I think that the faraway trees are used with the talisman, because when Boyd used the talisman and went through a faraway tree, he traveled in time. But Julie, she just traveled across town, and Sarah also traveled to a different spot in town. Only Boyd, who held the talisman, is the one who traveled through time. What do you guys think?
interesting. We know that Martin did get trapped in that same place, but that's an interesting question, Tony. Do you think we've talked a little bit about this, how these faraway trees work? Is someone sort of pushing the FU button at some point when you're in, when they see someone going through one? Is it a like a D&D game where it's a 12-sided die and you get rolled, and if you land on 12, then you end up going into it? Like, how do you think the faraway tree, and even if it's the science situation, is it someone in control of it at a board watching what's happening? Is that what you think?
Yeah, someone's at the board and controlling it, but I think that there's someone else who's able to control it from the other people. It could be the boy in white.
Yep.
And the boy in white needed him to go there to get these worms
to learn he could.
Adam Martin. Like, it was all planned for him to get there, get those worms, bring it back, and take this monster out.
Tony, when are we gonna? I don't want to play the characters need to talk game, but Sarah and Victor need to get together, and they, the next pilgrimage that they go on of some sort needs to be to find the boy in white. They need to try to make contact with this boy. We haven't seen enough, and I mean this in a good way. We haven't seen enough boy in white this season. We've seen the correct amount because I'm craving it. So when we do see him, it's going to be important. Have we seen him at all this season, or have we just talked about him?
We have not seen him this season yet.
We've talked about him a few times.
But we know he's there because the person who is his tutor, on-set tutor, was in the chat.
So
and said he was there this season, and that he's like, oh, it's going to be a crazy season. I'm the tutor of Vox, and he's there. So he's definitely there, but we have not seen him this season.
You mentioned the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. We could get an early Game of Thrones White Walker situation where he shows up for a big moment towards the end of the season. We get him for one big, huge moment of some sort.
So when we asked the actors who have been on the show that have come on here, most of them said episode 6 and episode 10 are the ones to watch.
Yep.
For the season. So it's X6 and 10. So we got through 6. The next big thing that's going to happen will be in episode 10.
So we got a couple more voicemails to get to here. Area code 262.
Yeah, this is Vonnie from Milwaukee. I was wondering, you think now that they have smiley face there on their hands, do you think maybe possibly they could call a town meeting and everybody can say, hey, I've been seeing these creepy little kids, and oh yeah, there's people underneath the streets. You think maybe they would be smart enough to have a little town meeting to do that? Thanks. Bye.
We talked about this a little bit earlier, Tony, but I'm curious if you more asked the question rather than answered it. Do you think this becomes public knowledge?
No, I don't think it's a promenade through Rome that they're going to display the bodies and put it out there. From everything that we've seen in this show, everything is done secretly. Like Donna went here with the food shortage. She tried to keep that a secret from everybody else. If you're trying to keep the food a secret, I would think you're going to try to keep the dead body of a creature secret too.
Yeah.
If you don't want hotheads like, we can kill him now, let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's figure out exactly if this dude is actually dead first and what we can draw from this guy.
Yeah, you don't want Dale to know that. And before we get to our last voicemail from Voice 916, if anyone has last minute voicemails or not, we're not ending necessarily, but we'll end when we run out of calls and stuff. So the voicemail and alcohol, exactly. So area code, let's get to a couple of text messages. Area code 647 says, I love this. I think the story is based on the Tachula mythos by Lovecraft. I'm not pronouncing that right. 1964 World Science Fair theme was space exploration. I think something happened, and then that opened up a quantum portal to the dreamlands, and they're being experimented on by aliens. So, Tony, I bet you love 647's perspective here.
Yeah, I do. You know what I mean? I think Cthulhu. I think it's what
Cthulhu. Thank you, Tony.
And look at me pronouncing shit right.
No. It's CTHULHU.
Yeah, Cthulhu. It's Cthulhu, and you know what I mean. But yeah, it's 100% dealing with aliens, and the reason why I don't think it's aliens experimenting on them and the aliens are captured is because the people who talk to Sarah say, we've been here a long time and we want to go home too.
Yep.
So I think that human beings have captured aliens are the ones doing the experiments. Aliens being experimented on too. In the end, it's going to be humans that are doing all this, not aliens experimenting on humans. I think it's the other way around. And the fact that they said that Sarah was the only one that they can communicate with after all this time. Am I still here? Or am I I see
No, you're
myself.
here. You're here.
All right. So, Sarah is the only one that can communicate with them. I think it was other humans that would have been able to communicate with them. I think it's because it's aliens. She couldn't communicate with them. All right. Yeah. So I see what it is now. It's when the comments get highlighted, it freezes.
Oh, it does. It freezes me too. I was trying to highlight him calling us nerds for knowing that situation, and
Oh, fine. I don't mind being called a nerd at
no,
all.
it's a fucking compliment.
Yes, you can call me a nerd all you want.
Yeah,
What
I
you gotta
don't
do?
know. I'm pro. Oh wait, am I still here? It says wait. No,
Yeah, you're here. Yeah, no, you don't. What happened to Phil? You see, you put these comments, Peter, up there, and you got rid of Phil. And see how that happened and everything else. And I'm frozen on screen right now. It seems like because of the comments and everything else. So hopefully you can still hear me. I think I can be heard. I'm not sure if I can be heard or not. It's saying that the page isn't responding. All right, it's responding now, right now. But yeah, no. So I'm not gonna highlight any more comments because of this situation and put this back the way it was meant to be and everything else like that. Up and everything else, and I don't know why and all that. It's the product that I actually use and stuff like that. There's a situation it messes up after a while and everything else. I may have to switch back to StreamYard. It seems like it's a more reliable program, but it just doesn't have the features that this one has. So that's why I use this one over StreamYard and everything else. But may have to switch back to StreamYard because the bugs in this is just not working. And now it booted me off a stream.
And now I'm here. I guess the way it's set up right now, Tony and I can only go one at a time. I don't know if I popped in here. Bring back Phil. I'm here. Star, can you guys hear me? As Tony needs to. Yeah, Tony froze and I'm back. To Tony's point, yeah, we can do a lot of cool things on this one, but it seems like StreamYard's more stable. I think they just updated to a new situation here, so it's a little messed up. So let's get into the live chat while we're waiting for Tony to get back. At least one of us is here. Raggedy Ann said Tony is done. I think Raggedy Ann and Andy have gotten to Tony. Phil, I don't know if you've ever been told about it. You remind me of Weird Al Yankovic. I have been told that, and I do appreciate that. Actually, I got to meet Weird Al, and when I met him, I called him Dad, and he looked at me and he goes, maybe. I have a picture of it. I wish I could show it on stream right now. I'll try to have it for next week, but there's a picture of me and Weird Al together, and we even look more alike. So yes, thank you. No, keep calling in 781-990-8509. Tony will be back in a second here. He's already here. He'll be popping in a second. We'll switch sides. I think we made it. There we go. We're back.
Yeah.
Back to normal. Back in our spots.
Yeah, I had to reboot the whole thing.
Me too. Me too. I had to do the same thing. I had to reboot the whole. They just updated to a new server situation.
They did, and ever since they've done that, there's been problems. They got bugs in it and everything else.
Yep. So hopefully they'll figure it out.
But still live. It doesn't show. All right, there we go. All right, so now it's got everything. Sorry about that and everything. We're back.
Yes. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
I'm not going to highlight any comments right now because that seemed to be causing a little bit of the buggy issue, but we'll still read them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you think Sarah's name and song "Que Sera Sera" are connected, or is it a coincidence? I think it's a coincidence.
It's a coincidence, but yes, Sarah does say like "Que Sera." Does sound like Sarah. I do think that Sarah is very important and everything else, but I don't think what does that song supposed to represent? You know what I mean? like what's going to happen is going to happen. What's going to be is going to be. It's out of your control. A lot of things like that. So I think that's more what it means and everything.
802 says they just watched the preview. If you watch it through Xfinity, you can go back and watch the show after it airs at 10 p.m. on Sundays. You will see the preview and a behind the scenes thing after each episode. So
yeah, if you want to send it to me, please send it to me, Tony Teflon 545 at gmail.com. I think that's my was it 164?
And care of the issues guy as well. So
you can find you can find
or
it.
Tony will forward it to me. Just send it
yeah,
to
or send it. Phil's thing is right here on the thing. So on the crawl, send it to Phil if you can.
Either one of us will forward it to the other one. So yeah, Tony and I don't talk off stream. We never talk.
Never.
No, we only talk on stream. We don't really get along in real life.
No,
so,
not at all.
Only on stream. Okay, so area code. I'm not trying to waste a bunch of money to go to Orlando just to hang out. Okay, so Elgin was brave and had to and did what he had to do. This is from area code 914. But he may have helped because of his guilty conscience, knowing what happened. I think they, meaning the other side here, may have sent him there as punishment. Maybe he didn't want to work for them anymore. Again, this is one of those things. Do you think there's any chance that Elgin is some sort of connected to the other side and he's feeling guilty?
I think it has to be someone who's been there. It can't be a new person just coming in. It could be a new person coming in to overlook and say, hey, you've been slipping. But in the end, I think it has to be someone who's been there for a long time that's been running this thing. It's got to be someone in there because if there's a mole, the person's got to be sending reports back. And the only way to send these reports back is if you've been there for a while.
Yeah, consistent reports back. Wolf Spare, I'm still 50-50 at this point, but Tony's 100%. And Drunk Bishop, we don't have the from con yet, but if people want to go down to Orlando at the end of August, we'll give the dates by the end of the season. I just blanking on them right now. We'll definitely be partying down in the bars in Orlando and down on City Walk during that weekend. If you want to come down and hang out with Tony definitely, LMR definitely, and possibly me as well. Definitely do that in Orlando. We'll give those dates later.
We're definitely going to get I'm not bullshitting on the FromCon. We're going to do it. I'm going to drop the dough to do it. And I'm definitely going to have one. I'm going to do it. I promise you that I'll do it. And if I lose the money on it, I do.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. We still got a bunch of voicemails, Tony, to get to. This is from our good buddy, the voice at 916.
Yes.
Hello, this is the voice at 916 again. My question is, do you think only special people can be infected with the worms? Do you think that there's some sort of special quality one has to have? I remember Martin saying something to that effect. What do you think? Thank you guys.
I think it can be I don't know about you, Tony, but I'm thinking it can be transferred to anyone that gets connected to the blood, right? Or do you think there's only certain people that can get the worms?
Yeah, I think that it's all dealing with different blood types, and depending on your blood types, it depends how they affect you. You know, because I listen. The fact that they said that him and Ellis's blood is O negative is not a coincidence. They could have picked any blood type they wanted, but they put him as O negative, and they specifically had them say that. You didn't have to say Ellis's blood type. Obviously, his father's blood is going to be good with him, right? So you didn't have to say it, but they had him say it for a reason. And the O negative is a blood type that can go into anybody, right? You know what I mean? So I think that it's the blood type.
Keep the calls coming, folks. Area code 626.
Hey, it's Joe from 66 California. Just calling in. I just wanted to kind of, you guys may have addressed this earlier, but I'd like to just wonder if, have you guys any idea of what is the other things that we might experience? I know that Martin said, the monsters are the tip of the spear. I mean, do we think it's like a giant spider monster? Do we think there's other kind of,
good question.
I don't know. I'm just wondering. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much.
I'm wondering too, Tony, what do you think the bigger threats are? I mean, we saw bloodworms, we saw spiders. Do you think what are some of the more horrifying things that there could possibly be out there besides what we've seen of the nightmare creatures? We can now call them the nightmare creatures.
Yeah, it's the human beings that are controlling everything in the end are the biggest threat of it all and everything. I think that's what it's gonna really be when it's all said and done. I really hope that they would upgrade these monsters. Listen, if you upgrade the monsters, throw wings on them and start flying around, everyone say, "Oh, the fairies, the fae, whatever." But it has to be something else. You know what I mean? The big threat is not going to be, I think another creature. Like all of a sudden now here comes a minotaur.
Yeah.
Now
I
you
don't
got
think this is.
minotaurs walking around.
Yeah, I don't think this is Stranger Things like that.
Yeah, it's not going to be anything like that. It's not going to be an upgraded monster type. I mean, it could be.
Do you think we're going to
Upgraded.
see a Demogorgon in this?
You could do an upgraded. I would think that you would just do something like the talismans don't work anymore. Now what you gonna do?
I was about to highlight. I'm glad I didn't. Anna says monster trees. Maybe could the trees be something?
I don't think it's ents. I don't think it's gonna be the ents. I don't think that's the way it's gonna go. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Young Hobbit, you don't think I'm in this show?
You don't smell like an ogre.
Whoa. Orky blood. Sorry, everybody. Okay, area code 703.
Hello, my name is Mara from Washington.
Thank you for the ents reference, Tony. That was amazing.
From DC. So my question is, why this guy, the chain guy, he wanted to die. He had these worms who apparently can cure and prolong life and kill monsters, but he wanted to die. I wonder why. Can you tell me, please? And hello to all from
And she said sorry at the end, so I think she forgot what the second point was. But to the first point, I think they were torturing Martin, right?
Yep, they were torturing him, and inside, I think they were breeding these worms in him because they said the worms were feeding on him.
Yeah, it was like a
Right.
perfect petri dish, and they were
So
just
maybe so maybe whatever blood type he has allows them to be recreated in him, and they were just taking him out of him because obviously he knew that the worms would go into Boyd from his body. He knew that would happen, right? So maybe that's what was going. They would cut him and take a couple of worms out of him and then leave some more in him and keep doing things like that with him in the end. That was A's voicemail.
Yeah,
It's a
it
great-
happens.
It does.
We've both been on stream, and you sometimes you go back and you don't get the heat. The heat's not there. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Believe.
Yeah, so the reason why he wanted to die is because he's been tortured so long, chained up there so long, he just didn't want to live no more. I mean, you chained up like chained. It's great to think of having everlasting life, but how it's quality of life in the end, right? When it comes down to it,
To a
and
certain
his
extent,
quality of life wasn't good. He was ready to go.
No, a great call. Please call in again. Area code 919.
Peace. I just wanted to call back in. I really loving the questions and the commentary from everybody. A lot of times in the Lovecraftian stories, the so-called craziest person is actually the one that's right on the money and
Jade
could possibly even help push it along, but they tend to be also the instrument to the doom, or that they were being tricked for a reason. So who do you think is the craziest person in town right now,
Jade.
in terms of the occult stuff, in terms of the mystery and the dimensional beings mixing with everybody? Thank you. Peace.
Jade and Victor.
It's Victor and Sarah.
Victor. Oh, Sarah too. Yeah, Sarah.
It's Victor and Sarah would be considered the people that people don't want to speak to. Victor is putting up a front like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's that. But when we had Scott on, he was here when he came on the channel. He was saying that he said that Victor's memories he couldn't remember everything.
Yeah, he
and
wasn't
that
sure what was real, what
yeah, he
was
wasn't sure if it was real or it wasn't real, and that certain things are starting to come back to him, is what he said. So
Bruzy
that's what it is.
Bruzy says Victor and Sarah top 2 for sure. Nicholas Cage, I'm not going in that box. Chim says Jade Dale. Dale's a good pick too. Boyd is hallucinating. Maybe Boyd. Wolf says Victor and Jade are keys. I think I misunderstood the question in a sense. I think Victor and Jade are the biggest X factors in a sense, and I think Jade especially is a major X factor. I know
Victor doesn't like Elgin, doesn't trust him. He said,
Yep. He
which
sees
has to mean something. That means something. He just didn't come out there at drop that. They didn't just put that in there for no reason. They put that in there for a reason.
we got a couple more voicemails here. Area code 217. Whoa.
This is Adora and Aria calling from Springfield, Illinois.
Welcome.
And our question is, she wants to know, do you believe the monsters are actually shapeshifters as well? My question is,
Oh, we got a couple people listening at the same time. First question, we'll take the first question too. Do you believe that the monsters are shapeshifters as well?
So I'm sorry. Let's let. So this woman called in.
No, it's
for somebody-
Adora and Aria calling from Springfield, India.
Oh, all right. So both calling in at the same time. All right. So are they shapeshifters? What we've seen, they do have the ability to clean up or glamour themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we could say shapeshifters, as if they are able to change into different creatures or change into an antelope or something else like that. I don't know if we go that far, but we
Right.
have
Are they
seen them.
I know you're not a Star or you like Star Trek actually. You're a bigger Star Trek fan than I give you credit for. Deep Space Nine, Odo, where it's not a shapeshifter in that way that it's sort of can turn into a bird if it wants to turn into a bird. But I do think they have some sort of, as Tony's said many times, glamoring and some sort of shifting focus. I guess if I want to go to one of my earlier speculation points that the ballerina is somehow connected to the boy in white, you could say the boy in white possibly could shapeshift or project himself in different ways. So I guess it's a possibility, but I think it's more glamour than shapeshifting, Tony.
Yeah, it's a glamour, I would think, because when we see them in their true form, their clothes is dirty as hell. And when they come out, them clothes are like tied, a cheer, whatever it is they're using, gets all the stains out.
It's the Armor Hammer stuff. That shit's great. That shit's great.
Arm and Hammer?
Yeah,
Arm and Hammer.
that's what I
Listen,
use.
Me too. That's you get the most bang for your buck. with
Yes,
that.
you get that big tub at Walmart for its cheap.
They give you the Arm and Hammer. Just give it away.
Dude, they give the extra. It's like you get 10% extra. I'll take that 10% extra, Tony. It's
I
good.
take it all day.
No pause. Area. So let's continue for Aria's question.
I think it's the people that are the monsters.
Wait, let's rewind a little bit. Sorry.
As well. My question is, I think that the people that are the monsters are people that have already died there. What is your actual take on that?
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit, Tony, but I'm not sure I know exactly your perspective. Do you think I know that the monsters were ever once human, or are they just creatures created by the bad guy? Not the bad guy. Sorry to be so whatever. But the other side, are they created to be creatures?
Yeah, I think that I initially I did think that they were aliens themselves, but I do think that they're most likely human beings infected with these spores or this fungus or
Yep.
whatever you want to say that's inside a Boyd that turned them into this weaponized weapon. You know what I mean? Because again, if you're dealing with governments and army and navy or whatever, if you could have someone who looks like a human, who looks unthreatening, put him in a different country, and then he turns to a monster and can kill him, that would be something that they would say and everything else like that.
100%.
So that's what I think is a human who's infected. Now, as for were they people who they killed? Again, we see them in all this old clothing, the 50s and everything else. And again, these parasites, these extraterrestrial parasites, are extend life. We know that that's what they do. So they would still be alive from those times and stuck in this this area where they're at and everything else.
Jackie C has broken this down. The monsters eat Tide Pods to keep clean. I think you're on to something there, Jackie C. So we got a couple more voicemails here. Area code 626.
Hey guys, Joe from 66 again. Just wanted to say, for us for the first time, thank you guys so much for what you do. It's a great show. It's great that we have a community that we can kind of get together and kind of throw ideas at the wall and see what sticks. Okay, so I just wanted to say, so if there's no other monster, I want to know, what do you guys think knocked the tent all around the, was it just wind, or do you think it was just, whatever? Do you think it was just like some kind of invisible push or something? And then on top of that, we keep focusing, or I do, on what is Ethan. Because I think Ethan's kind of like the core of the story, or will be. And everything about him is like fear-based. And I'm wondering, do you think there could be anything based with like a PTSD issue? This whole thing could be like some kind of PTSD, like not hallucination, but maybe like medical treatment that, they're trying to, create, because a lot of the times, for PTSD treatment is you have to experience that thing that you fear so much and keep occurring it until you're not afraid anymore. And I'm wondering, could it be some kind of issue like that? I don't know, just throwing it at the wall. What do you guys think? Thanks a lot again.
Yeah, if it's a fourth dimensional being, they could grab the tent and pull the tent, and you would never see them pull the tent. The tent would just be moving, but you would not be able to see them because they're in the fourth dimension. Just like when the house comes down, if it's a fourth dimensional being, they would be able to affect the house, and all you would see is the house being affected, but you would not see exactly why the house is being affected. When you look at everything that we have seen, the weather just come on out of nowhere, all that's being controlled. They put that storm there and everything. They said the radio tower's going up. We got to shut this down, but we got to make it look good. So let's throw the weather. Let's put our thunderstorm up in there and stop that down and everything else. You know what I mean? Knock that down, knock everything down, give them a reason to do it. So I would say that most likely it's fourth dimensional humans in the fourth dimension dealing with this whole situation, and that's what I would think. It's
Now, Drunk Bishop speculates in the live chat: is Ethan a red herring? Is Ethan's quest stuff just interesting, well-paced kind of extra stuff to add mysticism or magic kind of vibe or quest kind of vibe to the show, or is Ethan actually going to be instrumental to figuring this thing out? Do you think?
I think Ethan is 100% what he says is what it is. Victor's drawings are to solve this whole situation, and that's it. It's a book. You just have to put them in the right order. So again, how would Victor know to put these in the right order? If you put it all in the order, it tells the whole story of what's going to happen and everything else. Why? Because it's already happened. Because they keep pulling the same people from alternate dimensions and alternate universes and performing the same different tests on them every time. We ran this test on them this time. We're going to bring them back and we're going to run this test and we're going to do this to this person. And we're going to run it back and they keep replaying it.
Ethan understands the game and rules that come with it. I think we got our last voicemail of the evening, area code 720.
Hello, Princess again from Colorado. I see a lot of people talking about how important Sarah is and all the information she knows.
Yep.
But when you really think about it, how useful is the information that she has? She hasn't been very useful at all, if you ask me. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a good night.
All right, so let's go through Sarah. Again, when you're given information, doesn't mean you decipher it correctly, right?
You are two-way street. Is the information only going in one direction, or do you actually can go back and forth? You actually have a pipeline. Just because she's contacted by them, does that mean she can be used to fuck with them?
Exactly. And when she was given the message, kill the boy, maybe she got the boy wrong. Right? When she was given the information, you need to leave the door open to make it look like the monsters did it. And you need to kill this guy, Toby. Why did Toby have to die?
Yeah.
I've said this in video. Toby had to die in order for Jade to take the place seriously. That's what it was. Jade didn't take it seriously. until Toby died. So he had to get rid of Toby. And Jade is the one whose computer algorithm is what made them able to do the quantum mechanics to get this wormhole technology for them to go this in the future. We've seen time travel already. That's why they brought Jade in for this reason. Like every time something terrible happens, it's when two cars and stuff come together.
Yeah.
That means one car is meant to be there, the Matthews, the other car wasn't meant to be there. So I think who's bringing in Jade and them is not the same people that brought in the Matthews and everybody else.
One is the boy in white, one is possibly the other side. This is a text message that we just got from area code 289. What do you think about this? This is a giant experiment to find the cure to immortality. The monsters are previously humans who have been experimented on, but turned into monsters from their experimentation. They're trying to regain their humanity, similar to the Attack on Titan. They only go for organs and not the head, since their brains and heads are still intact. Martin is part of another group of people who are being experimented on in different ways than the monsters from the village. Interesting.
I mean, he said everything I already said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's similar to.
I don't know if you're just watching the show and then just put a text in everything I just said. I mean, I just said all that and everything else. You know, that's exactly what I believe is going on. And if you didn't watch the show and you just came in with that, then I think you're spot on because it's everything I said. So yeah, I agree that that's exactly what's going on. I mean, they didn't have Boyd say that it prolonged life for no reason. I mean, we never heard Martin say that to Boyd, and Boyd came out with that. So, you know, they didn't say that just to say it. They said that for a reason. That's what these things do. Prolong life. And that's what they're doing.
I missed a couple of messages from KP. Let's check in on this.
So I just sent a message. I don't know if you got it, but I just want to say the episode was fucking great. I don't know if it was the best episode ever, but it was fucking great.
I played this one before.
And
this is actually a new one.
It's very interesting that now we get to see these people fight back against these monsters.
I think he was just repeating what he said, but there is a second one here. Let me say.
Question: how do you think the village people are
YMCA? Sorry,
going to weaponize these motherfucking?
He did call them the village people. No, he asked this question before too. How are they going to weaponize the?
Yeah, so I don't know. It all depends if there are worms in that body. It all depends what happens to them. It's the only way that we can basically do that. You know what I mean? And in the end, I have said it from the beginning, and I've said it again. The only way to win this war is to catch one of these things. It's like they had to catch one of the whites and experiment on them. They got him. They got a body. It's time to open the body up and see what makes it tick and figure out what's going on inside there. Whether it's 5 hearts in there or whatever it's going to be, you got to figure out what's going on with that.
Wolf Spear, I hope it's an autopsy to get some of those worms out, but I have a feeling, to Tony's point, to add more tension to the situation, it would be more dire if the worms were hard to find, and then Boyd was trying to find that place where he was with Martin again to try to find more worms, like they were on the hunt for more freaking worms.
Yeah, you can't just have these worms. Now you have nothing to fear. So I think that's a one and done situation, and they'll have to figure out another way. But what the significance is that they can be killed.
Yep.
That was the significance. They took one out finally.
We finally got our if it doesn't bleed, but we can kill it.
That's right. It doesn't bleed, but we can kill it. And so I think that's what it
apparently.
Is. And they did that kill mid-season. So something else as big has to happen and everything else. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes and everything else. I wouldn't describe her as thick at all. So I don't know what your definition of thick is, but I'll show you some pictures of some thick.
Let's pause. Pause. Miss Crawford says, I agree. Everyone should come together and discuss everything they've been going through if they make it through a food. Will we ever see that scene that people are clamoring for where all of our main characters get in a room and break shit down and talk about this together?
I think that, listen, someone said straight up, you know what I mean, they said that in the trailer they seen Jade talking to Tabitha
Oh, interesting. Okay, good.
about what was going on. That's what they said that they seen and everything else. So maybe, Jade did catch her having a hallucination. Jade has hallucinations, so maybe they could build on that.
Yeah, the two of that. That's. I think I said that on the recap show in the sense that it's the perfect person to have found her with those visions. Let's hope they talked about it. And yes, we've been lucky enough. I think YouTube's doing a better job moderating the bots.
Without a shadow of doubt, they definitely do a better job getting those bots out.
So I think we cleared the deck. I think do we just get one more text message? 626 says, if we're thinking that there will be a flood in the end from the wall paintings, what about that giant red figure on the wall? It's different from the symbol. I'm not sure if I know the giant red figure you're speaking of, but
I would have to see the giant red symbol. But listen, that when Victor drew the pictures and stuff, there are things that don't look like the creatures in those pictures, like hooded beasts, hooded beings with a hood over them, and the guy hiding underneath the steps and everything else and all that stuff.
and
So
we're gonna see at some point, we do know because it's been teased early, we're gonna see some upgraded versions of Victor drawings because Ethan gave him the magic markers.
Yes.
So we are gonna see he's using those Chekhov's magic markers. We saw them earlier. They're gonna be used at some point this season.
no doubt, and maybe he could draw better with the magic markers and everything else. And so we'll definitely see an upgraded picture from Victor and everything else. Again, Victor says that he draws stuff that he's already seen. Did he drew a picture of a flood? When was there a flood there?
Yep.
There's no talk of ever there being a flood. So has he been there? He's saying he already seen it, right? So if Victor has been there in an alternate universe, he's already seen it. Again, when you look at the cars, that when they go into the car lot, he specifically says, I put these cars here, but there was cars here in front of it already, right, in that car lot. That's because Victor has been here before as an alternate person and put the ones in front. And then they brought someone in already, and then he put the ones behind him and everything else.
Bruzy says that to me, that big red thing seemed like a clear sign to be the big baddies booze. Wolf says red symbol that Victor and Tabitha came across. Okay. And Anna, thank you so much for popping in the chats. We really do appreciate it. Who taught Victor how to drive, though? That's a good question. I think he probably just figured it out himself. If they're automatic cars.
Well, he said he's been in cars with his mother, so he could see exactly how it
That's what I'm
works.
saying. You can figure it out after a while. It's not like he's gonna go fast enough to hurt himself. And once
it's not driving an airplane, right? You may not be able to pull that off, but I think you can learn how to hit the pedal and go forward.
Especially in automatic, a stick would be a little bit more difficult, I guess.
Yes.
And Tony Yam says Martin, Boyd, Abigail are all military. Jade saw Civil War soldiers, certainly like brilliant soldiers from Fromville. We haven't seen anything back to the time travel Civil War kind of situation. I wonder if we're going to see some sort of situation like that.
I will say an interesting point is that the guy who played that Civil War soldier is the stunt actor for Boyd.
Oh, it is interesting.
Yes. So that is interesting. I don't know if they were just trying to give him another job or anything. But he is a stunt actor for Boyd, the Civil War soldier. So keep that in mind.
Latonia, sorry if I'm killing your name, Miss Crawford. Current topic. I wonder why the other monsters didn't try to attack Boyd when he sliced Smiley's neck when he passed over the worms. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I do want to talk a little bit about this a little bit more before we go. It was very interesting the way those monsters acted after Smiley was gone.
Yeah.
You were saying you think they'd never seen anything like that before, so they were sort of put off by it. Yeah, I mean, I I think Tony's probably right about that. I also think maybe whatever was controlling them at that point in time kind of hit the return to home button. Like, oh, they killed one of us, return to home. And they because it seemed like it was very to Luna's point earlier about machines or tech, it seemed very mechanical in that moment or brainwashy, Borg, droney to be like, time to go home, and they all
Yep.
turned around and walked away.
I mean, when you look at we could deal with like animals and the animal. I mean, we are human beings. We mourn and we have services and
Yep.
we do all that. But when the animals, like you see, like lionesses or whatever animals, they get killed. You might see them go over to the animal and beat it with its nose real quick or something like that. But then after that, they go away and go about their business.
Yep.
So it could be a situation going on like that. They looked and they said, "Oh, what's going on here? Never seen nothing like this. All right, we out." And back to it. And that's it.
Just Gina says, yes, Phil, issues guy, rewatching it again right now. They seemed upset and curious. Yeah, that's why I was thinking they were fearful of their own death as Tony, or had never seen something before, but they were definitely curious about what happened. They were surprised. They were interested in it. They had a look for a second and then they walked away.
Gold Soul, thank you for the super chat. Says, "What if they let the monsters start to run now since they killed one? Will the town fight back harder now? What do you guys think?" Thank you for the super chat. I think that would be an upgrade. Let's let the monsters run now.
Yep.
Instead of walk. Let's do that. Let's raise the stakes a little bit.
Tony, people were asking about this earlier, and I don't know if we had officially addressed it, but do you think these monsters can run? Is it part of their programming that they have to walk like this? Is it part of the sport of it? Could they run before the talismans were a thing? I'm asking rhetorical questions that we don't know the answers to, but I wonder if in the olden times, if they ran more, or if they always kind of trotted and walked around like this.
I think they've always done that trot, from what Donna said. Thank you for the cash app from my man Fernandez T and everything. He says, "For not seeing it yet, but I have a love for your show." So thank you so
buddy.
much. I truly appreciate it.
So was Porn Stash one of the monsters in this episode? I don't think so, Sin.
No, there was no Porn Stash. He was not in this episode.
But yeah, Tony, we managed to do it. All the voicemails for tonight and text, we cleared the deck.
And thank you. Listen, we had 500 people here. We hit the record so far. You know what I mean? Let's try to get it over 500. You know what I mean? And keep it going. And that all happens with you. You know how you help that out? You make sure you subscribe to the channel, number one, and that you also you like the video. That's all it really takes. You do that. You do those two things, and it happens. Next week we have the nurse herself, the very sexy Chrissy's on here rocking with, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about. If she does perform an alien autopsy, we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna break down as she
We're
broke
gonna
down.
talk right about it with the actress right here. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a really good time next week. So make sure we may go to subscriber only chat. May do it.
Make sure you subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe so you could be up in the chat. We might go to subscriber only chat. We're tossing around the idea about doing that for certain guests when they come on there. So make sure you're subscribed so you have a chance to ask her a question specifically, and you can call in and she can hear your voice and ask a question. You know what I mean? So
Tori, I'm wondering what Randall's up to as well. I'm sure we'll see. We'll see him next week.
She's a doctor. She's not a doctor. Is she a doctor?
She's a nurse in real life and a doctor on the show.
All right, so that's what I get confused.
I believe she's a nurse in real life.
Nurse in real life and doctor on the show. That's why I say nurse.
Yeah. Chrissy, or a medical student, doctor, actress is a former nurse. So it's interesting that no, we'll talk more about that next week. But yeah, thank you everyone in the live chat tonight. You guys have been awesome.
100%. Thank you so much. Watching this one right now. I'm gonna see that she has a condition that I think she did say that. You know what I mean? But
Drunk Bishop One of our listeners, I believe it's Beloved, did create an escaping from Discord group. So keep an eye out for that in the comment section. They'll probably
they
share it.
really?
Yeah, they did, and they said they transfer ownership to us if they wanted. But I believe if I have my phone, I can tell you who did it. But they're running it. They're doing a great job. They can keep running it. But we do appreciate the escaping
Dude,
from Discord group.
100% appreciate because I don't know nothing about that stuff, so I can't do that.
Yeah, I have a Discord group I've had for a while, but there is an escaping from one that you can find a link to it. I believe he shared it in on Reddit, in some of the Reddit groups there, and maybe on Facebook as well. But it does exist, and we'll try to have that link for you next week.
100%. All right, thanks to everybody for rocking with us and everything else. I mean, we had at least 400 and something strong. You know what I mean? And people say you guys deserve it. Good job covering the show. We
Oh,
deserve
thank
it,
you.
and for MGM to hire us, bring us on set, and do an escaping from right from the set of the show. That's what we deserve. So tell the people at MGM to hire the Don Tony Teflon Affiliates.
Do it. Send your emails, send your cards, send your letters. Do it.
And everything else.
If the chat still exists for a while, let me I can try to share the Discord invite to that group. Yeah, and definitely go subscribe to me as well. And this week, if rock and roll music fans, this week got a new song coming out from my band 2-Piece Trip. So make sure you follow 2-Piece Trip on all the music platforms if you want to hear the new song. Comes out on Wednesday, so check that out.
And Mr. Tony says her junkie girlfriend is a nurse. She's
the junkie girlfriend is a nurse. He's right. I'm gonna try to find the link to the Discord group, but
it sounds so bad when he calls her junkie.
It's bad.
It sounds so terrible. Right? You junkie. You're a junkie.
You're a junkie.
You gotta tell people that you're junkie girlfriend. Why
your junkie girlfriend? You gotta hide everything from your junkie girlfriend.
It's funny that junkie is the word. Like, what does that have to do with anything with drugs? Like, who came up with that word junkie? We're gonna call someone a junkie. Like, I don't understand what does junk have to do with?
Doing the junk. Wanda, if you incredible, just search "Fill the Issues" guy. You'll find it. It's the first thing that pops up on YouTube and stuff.
Oh, that's yeah. So again, you could if you can put the Phil's link in the description box so everyone else could make sure they go over there and follow all that. Shorty One says they own that junk. I understand, but junkie is just such a crazy word. You know what I mean?
It is an interesting word if you really think about it.
Junk was apparent slang for junk. Was apparent slang for drugs back in the day was.
I mean, I know H was called junk a lot. Like,
did they call it H?
Yeah, heroin. You do use.
They're like, I want that junk, son. I want that.
Yeah,
junk.
I'm doing the junk.
Yeah, I've never heard that. So you learn something new every day and everything else.
Drunk Bishop, we'll definitely be doing that. I'll be doing some podcasts with Joe soon, especially over the summer. Once From ends, we're gonna do some movie podcasts, and Tony will be popping on over too. We're gonna do a catch up voicemail stream at some point on my channel where we catch up on the voicemails we never got to towards the end of the season, and even if the voicemails are out of date, we'll get to them.
Everything. All right. If you like the way we do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and as always, subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace.